Chapter 31:44. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Luo Xie's face turned ugly and his eyes flashed coldly. He was very clear that his old face had been slapped swollen by Mo Qingyun. But out of fear of Mo Qingyun's background, Luo Xie didn't dare to attack again. He looked coldly at Mo Qingyun and said, "Little friend, this old man has misjudged you this time. I'm ashamed of my inferiority." Luo Xie left these words and turned to leave. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Luo Xie's behavior and only smiled meaningfully. He wouldn't let go of Luo Xie's debt today. One day he would get it back. Although Luo Xie was also a divine king, he was different from Manju. He was just a lone divine king. Mo Qingyun didn't have to worry too much if he wanted to take revenge on him. Unlike Manju, who was an elder of the demon race, if Mo Qingyun wanted to take revenge on him, it would cause a lot of trouble. For an elder Mo, your performance just now really opened this old man's eyes. Recalling Mo Qingyun's wonderful performance, Ma Wenxing smiled faintly and came in front of Mo Qingyun. He said, "This is a clear jade spirit pill. Take it, and it will quickly heal your injuries as well as the saint force you just used." As Ma Wenxing spoke, he handed a green pill to Mo Qingyun. "Thank you, for an elder Ma." Mo Qingyun didn't refuse the pill that Ma Wenxing handed over. He accepted it without hesitation. Just as Ma Wenxing finished speaking, Lu Fengyi walked over and said, "Consecrator Mo, that divine weapon in your hand seems to be the Sword Spirit Clan's divine Oxguardian sword. Could you lend it to this old man to take a look?" Seeing that Lu Fengyi recognized his weapon, Mo Qingyun's face showed a hint of surprise. But thinking of Lu Fengyi's identity, Mo Qingyun felt relieved. With the other party's attainments in refining, it wasn't strange for him to recognize it. "All right," Mo Qingyun nodded, took out the 9-bull divine sword, and handed it over to Lu Fengyi. At this time, Zhang Yi and Tang Kaihe walked over and smiled meaningfully at Mo Qingyun. "Consecrated Elder Mo, we put in a lot of effort to deal with the God King Realm Ghost Deity. You've received 10 million heaven crystals from that old pervert. Shouldn't you split some with us?" Hearing the words of the two people, Lu Fengyi and the other person's expressions froze. Within the gazes that they looked at them with, there was immediately some disdain. Zhang Yi and Tang Kaihe didn't mind at all. Mo Qingyun had gotten such a big benefit, so they had to reward the two of them a little. Mo Qingyun was also surprised by the two's actions. He was shocked at how thick-skinned they were. Mo Qingyun looked at the two people and feigned a surprised appearance as he said, "The two of you are sure you want heaven crystals from me, instead of me asking for it from you two?" When Mo Qingyun's words came out, Zhang Yi and Tang Kaihe were dumbfounded. What kind of situation was this? When exchanging blows with the God King Realm Ghost Deity earlier, they were Mo Qingyun's coolie. Shouldn't they give some benefits? Why did it become them owing Mo Qingyun in a blink of an eye? Not just Zhang Yi, two people were surprised and puzzled. Lu Fengyi and the other person by the side were even more dumbfounded in their hearts. This plot twist was too fast. Under the four people's shocked gazes, Mo Qingyun looked at Zhang Yi first and said, "Let me ask you, if I didn't come forward in time and take the initiative to come up with a plan to subdue the God King Realm Ghost Deity and left Consecration Mountain, who would the God King Realm Ghost Deity look for to take revenge? Me?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Zhang Yi answered blankly. He had been controlling the 8 trigrams plate to trap the God King Realm Ghost Deity all along. The God King Realm Ghost Deity definitely wanted to kill him to vent its anger. Hearing Zhang Yi's answer, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "In your condition at that time, could you have stopped the God King Realm Ghost Deity? Could you have survived his attack?" "No." Zhang Yi didn't even think about Mo Qingyun's question. He shook his head and answered. However, as soon as Zhang Yi said that, he seemed to have understood something and said, "But according to the situation at that time, if I couldn't trap the God King Realm Ghost Deity, that old rascal would have used the heaven crystal to ask other consecrators for help." "Who?" Mo Qingyun asked directly. Zhang Yi opened his mouth, but couldn't say a person for a long time. Seeing Zhang Yi's silence, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, with consecrator Ju's personality, how long do you think it would take for him to reach an agreement? If the Divine King Realm Ghost God had broken out of the prison, how long could you have lasted in the hands of the Divine King Realm Ghost God? Zhang Yi's face paled, feeling a lingering fear. According to what Mo Qingyun said, he probably would have been killed by the God King Realm Ghost Deity before Zhu Longxi could reach an agreement. Seeing Zhang Yi's reaction, the smile on Mo Qingyun's face widened, and he said, in that case, it can be said that I saved your life. The life of a peak celestial God Realm King Realm Formation Master is worth at least 20 million heaven crystal. In other words, I saved your life, so you owe me 20 million heaven crystal. For your help earlier, I'll give you 2 million heaven crystal as compensation. After deducting that, you still owe me 18 million heaven crystal. Zhang Yi was stunned, his mouth wide open, shocked by Mo Qingyun's words. What was going on? He went to Mo Qingyun to ask for benefits, but not only did he not get any benefits, he even owed Mo Qingyun 18 million heaven crystal. He had suffered a huge loss. Seeing Zhang Yi's situation, Tang Kai's expression twitched, starting to feel somewhat weak in his heart. Just as Tang Kai was feeling weak in his heart, Mo Qingyun turned to look at him and said, Retainer Tang, although you're a master tactician, you probably haven't experienced such a great battle before, right? Haven't exchanged blows with divine kings before, right? Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Tang Kai felt a pang of guilt and shook his head, saying, never. Seeing Tang Kai say so, Mo Qingyun's smile became even wider, laughing until Tang Kai got goosebumps. Mo Qingyun smiled and said, how much do you think it would cost to hire 10 peak celestial deities, several dozen celestial deity rel powerhouses, as well as a divine king rel powerhouse, to let you carry out a combat drill? Let me calculate for you. Divine King Realm, spending 2 million heaven crystal isn't excessive, right? Peak celestial deity realm, spending 500,000 heaven crystal isn't much, right? Celestial deity realm, spending 100,000 heaven crystal isn't much, right? Calculating like this, it's close to over 10 million heaven crystal. I'll also count it as your 2 million heaven crystal as a fee for your hard work. After deducting it, you still owe me over 8 million heaven crystal. Rounding it to 0, you owe me 8 million heaven crystal. Tang Kai was dumbfounded. Could it still be converted like this? More importantly, it had always been him scamming others. When was it his turn to be scammed? Seeing such a scene, the Lu Fengyi and Ma Wensheng, two people by the side, could not resist laughing loudly. It was still their first time seeing Tang Kai suffer such a huge loss at the hands of one person. Seeing Tang Kai, two people suffer a setback, the two of them had an inexplicable sense of pleasure in their hearts. At the same time, their admiration for Mo Qingyun reached an extreme. Mo Qingyun actually made Tang Kai suffer a loss. This kind of ability was truly not simple. Chapter 3145. Tang Kai, you also have a day like this? I even reminded Consecrator Mo previously to let him guard against you a little. Looks like I worried too much. The two of you are people with status. Make sure not to renege on the debt. Lu Fengyi, two people gloated over their misfortune, laughing until they were convulsing back and forth. Asked the two of you to act. Now you're comfortable, right? Hearing Lu Fengyi, two people's words, Tang Kai, two people exchanged glances, actually not knowing what to say. Could their current outcome be considered lifting a rock to smash their own feet? Looking at the two people with gloomy faces, a faint smile surfaced at the corners of Mo Qingyun's mouth, and he said, Seniors, just now, I was just joking. How can I really take your heaven crystals? The moment they heard Mo Qingyun's words, Tang Kai, two people's expressions eased up, letting out a deep breath, really making them take out 10 million heaven crystals, even with their wealth, that would hurt their muscles and bones too. Many thanks, Consecrator the matter this time, count it as me owing you a favor. When Mo Qingyun said that he did not want the heaven crystals, Tang, Kaiha, two people also took out a bit of expression. The two of their favors were also very valuable. But when they made the promise, the two people did not feel good in their hearts, having a strong sense of sullenness. What kind of thing was this? They clearly came to collect a debt. In the end, disregarding that they did not receive the debt, they even owed Mo Qingyun a favor. This transaction was considered to be a huge loss. If I encounter trouble in the future, I'll definitely ask two seniors for help. Regarding Tang Kaiha, two people's promise, Mo Qingyun was not pretentious either, accepting it straightforwardly. Conversing a few words with Mo Qingyun, Zhang, he was not willing to stay anymore and said, "Just now, exchanging blows with divine king realm ghosts and deities, I suffered considerable injuries. I have to immediately return to cultivate and heal. Excuse me first." Zhang Yi's words finished. He turned around and left, returning to his courtyard. After sending off Zhang Yi with his eyes, Mo Qingyun took out the nine-bull divine sword, turned his head to look at Lu Fengyi, and said, "Senior Lu, can you help me refine and upgrade this sword?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's request, LV Fengyi frowned and said, "Consecrator Mo, this sword is forged using the Sword Spirit Clan's 12 Divine Swords Forging Manual. I don't know much about the 12 Divine Swords Forging Manual, so I don't think I can help you." LV Fengyi's answer caused Mo Qingyun to reveal a disappointed expression, and he put away the 9-oxen divine sword. Originally, he thought that with the help of a master like Lu Fengyi, he could save a lot of trouble. Now it seemed that his plan had failed, and he had to do it himself. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun and the others were talking, a beautiful figure arrived at the consecration mountain. Yin Luo, seeing the beautiful figure approaching, Mo Qingyun revealed a surprised expression. He did not expect her to find this place. When Yin Luo saw Mo Qingyun in front of her, she immediately revealed a joyful smile. She quickly walked over and said, "Young palace master, have you really become a consecrator?" "Yes." Mo Qingyun nodded. After receiving a positive answer from Mo Qingyun, Yin Luo's beautiful eyes widened as she said, "When I returned to the sect just now, I heard that you were demoted to a consecrator. I thought it was nonsense, but I didn't expect it to be true. Why is it like this? I heard that you made great contributions to the sect in the ancient Fey Cavern. Why did the sect master demote you to a consecrator?" Hearing Yin Luo's words, Lu Fengyi and the others shook their heads, secretly lamenting that Yin Luo was too young. In Yin Luo's eyes, Mo Qingyun's demotion from a young palace master to a consecrator was a great punishment. However, in their eyes, Mo Qingyun's demotion from a young palace master to a consecrator was a form of nurturing in disguise. "Don't mind it. I'm not a young palace master. I just took the palace master's token." In response to Yin Luo's sadness and dissatisfaction, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and shook his head. With a very indifferent look, he said, "Although I have returned the token, I have been promoted to a consecrator. This is a great reward." Hearing Mo Qingyun say this, Yin Luo's beautiful eyes blinked and her expression became better. According to Mo Qingyun's words, returning the palace master's token in exchange for a consecrator seemed to be a great gain. Previously, holding the palace master's token seemed to have a more honorable status, but there were no practical benefits. However, now that she was a consecrator, the situation was completely different. She would receive a considerable salary every month. "Young palace master, have you found the heavenly general concept origin?" After exchanging a few words with Mo Qingyun, Yin Luo's beautiful face became nervous. She asked about Mo Qingyun's progress. Hearing Yin Luo's question, Mo Qingyun nodded and said, "I found it. Once the rewards for the ancient Fey Cavern are given out, we will rush back together." "Okay." Yin Luo nodded. Seeing Mo Qingyun and Yin Luo talking and completely forgetting about them, Lu Fengyi coughed lightly and said, "Little girl, you are from the Sword Spirit Clan, right? Could it be that the divine Ox Guardian sword in Consecrator Mo's hand was given to him by you?" With Lu Fengyi's eyesight, he could still see Yin Luo's origins and identity. Hearing Lu Fengyi's question, Yin Luo's beautiful face flushed red. She hurriedly shook her head and said, "No, no." The divine ox guardian sword in young palace master's hand was obtained by chance. When Yin Luo said this, her heartbeat clearly sped up. In their clan, there was a great hidden meaning in gifting their own sword to others. It's actually like this. Yin Luo's answer made Lu Fengyi somewhat surprised, becoming even more curious about Mo Qingyun. At this moment, when Lu Fengyi still wanted to ask again, Chu Renyun arrived once more. Seeing Chu Renyun arrive, Mo Qingyun's expression was delighted, guessing Chu Renyun's intentions for coming. "Consecrator Mo, this is the ancient Fey Cavern's reward. I brought over for you." Arriving in front of Mo Qingyun, Chu Renyun took out a storage ring and handed it to Mo Qingyun's hand, saying, "In addition, the 5 million heaven crystals that you obtained from Divine King Barbaricage's hands previously, I also put it inside." Hearing Chu Renyun's words, Lu Fengyi few people at the back were stunned, each and every one revealing shocked expressions. Hearing Chu Renyun's words, Mo Qingyun seemed to know Divine King powerhouses and seemed to have a pretty good relationship. Otherwise, how could Mo Qingyun obtain 5 million heaven crystals from Divine King Barbaricage's hands? Immediately, Tang Kaihe walked forward and asked Chu Renyun, "Elder Chu Renyun, consecrate Mo and knows Divine King Barbaricage, or help Divine King Barbaricage with something?" In Tang Kaihe's view, either Mo Qingyun's relationship with Barbaricage was extremely good, or he helped Barbaricage before. Just like Zhu Longxi previously, Mo Qingyun helped him with a favor and received 10 million heaven crystals as a reward. "No." Chu Renyun shook his head and said with puzzlement, "Consecrated Tang, why do you ask?" Regarding Chu Renyun's answer, Tang Kaihe few people were even more puzzled. Seeing Tang Kaihe few people's performance, Mo Qingyun guessed their thoughts and said, "The matter is very simple. Divine King Barbaricage made a bet with me and lost me 5 million heaven crystals." Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Tang Kaihe few people were all dumbfounded. A heavenly soldier realm cultivation made a bet with a Divine King realm powerhouse and even won 5 million heaven crystals. This was also too exciting, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 3146. Elder Chu Renyun. I'm preparing to refine the celestial deity armor. Can you help me? Seeing that the ancient Fey Cavern's reward was in his hands, Mo Qingyun was not willing to delay and prepared to refine the celestial deity armor immediately. After he refined the celestial deity armor, his defensive power would increase greatly. When facing the Dragonclaw Fierce Sun Leopard again, he would also have more confidence. But if he refined it himself, the time required was too long. He might not be able to completely refine it in a year and a half. If Chu Renyun made a move to help, the time would be greatly shortened. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Lu Fengyi's expression changed slightly and said, "Revered Elder Mo, the celestial deity armor that you all speak of, could it be the 100 battle heaven splitting armor?" Mo Qingyun revealed a puzzled look and turned his head to look at Chu Renyun. He only knew that the reward for the ancient Fey Cavern's first place was a celestial deity level armor. As for what armor it was, he was not too clear. Seeing Mo Qingyun's puzzled look, Lu Fengyi continued, "Some time ago, an elder took away some weapons and armor from me, saying that it was a reward for the juniors who participated in the ancient Fey Cavern. If my guess is right, the celestial deity armor in your hands should be the 100 battle heaven splitting armor." Hearing Lu Fengyi say so, Mo Qingyun understood. Immediately, Mo Qingyun took out the celestial deity armor and handed it in front of Lu Fengyi, saying, "Senior Lu, could it be that there's something wrong with this 100 battle heaven splitting armor?" Mo Qingyun could tell that Lu Fengyi must have discovered something by suddenly asking. Receiving the armor from Mo Qingyun's hands, Lu Fengyi nodded his head solemnly and said, "The 100 battle heaven splitting armor was refined by me 10 years ago. It's only suitable for celestial deity realm powerhouses to use. With your heavenly soldier realm cultivation, not to mention that you can't refine it. Even if you successfully refine it with your current cultivation, you're also unable to mobilize it to withstand damage. Hearing Lu Fengyi say so, Mo Qingyun felt a sense of rejoice. Fortunately, he met Lu Fengyi. Otherwise, if he obtained the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor, wouldn't it be equivalent to becoming a decoration? More importantly, if he were to refine the 100 Battle Heaven rending armor and use it to defend against the Dragon Claw Fierce Sun Leopard's attack, and suddenly discover that he was unable to activate it, the consequences would be unimaginable. Seeing Mo Qingyun's tense expression, LV Fengyi smiled faintly at him and said, "Consecrator Mo, you don't have to worry too much. Give me the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor. I will remodel it, and you'll be able to activate it to resist the damage." Hearing Lu Fengyi's words, Mo Qingyun's expression became happy, and he hurriedly said, "Senior Lu, then I'll have to trouble you to help me modify it. As for what you need, feel free to tell me. I will prepare everything as soon as possible." Hearing Mo Qingyun's request, Lu Fengyi readily nodded and said, "I'll go back and think about how to modify it. As for the required materials, I'll give you a list later." Hearing Lu Fengyi's words, Mo Qingyun hurriedly nodded, revealing an expectant expression. At the same time, Mo Qingyun was also thinking in his heart, "It seems like Big Brother Chu conferring me as a consecrator is a good thing for me. It has allowed me to have an unexpected harvest." If he had not become a consecrator and fought side by side with Lu Fengyi and the others, building a certain relationship, he would not have been able to do so. If Mo Qingyun discovered that he was unable to use the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor and came to ask Lu Fengyi for help, the other party would not be so straightforward. After agreeing with Mo Qingyun, Lu Fengyi walked towards his courtyard. Asking Lu Fengyi to help modify the armor would not allow him to return to the Star Domain boundary in a short period of time. Mo Qingyun said to Yun Luo, who was beside him, "Modifying the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor will take some time. I'm afraid I won't be able to leave in a short period of time. Do you want to return to your residence and wait for my news? Or do you want to wait here?" Mo Qingyun's courtyard was very big, and there were many rooms inside. Yun Luo's residence was not a problem. "I'll stay here." Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Yun Luo answered without hesitation. Mo Qingyun did not object to Yun Luo's decision, and casually nodded in agreement. After discussing with Yun Luo, Mo Qingyun did not want to stay any longer and said, "Previously, I suffered heavy injuries under Luo Xie's aura. When I was fighting against the Divine King Realm Ghost God, I did not have time to cultivate and recover. Since there's nothing else now, I want to return to cultivate and recover. I want to accompany you guys." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chu Renyun's expression shook, and he asked, "Consecrator Mo, Consecrator Luo Xie injured you? Also, how did you deal with the God King Realm Ghost deity?" Hearing Chu Renyun's question, Mo Qingyun did not hide anything and began to tell him what happened. Hearing Mo Qingyun's story, Chu Renyun's expression suddenly changed, and he looked at Zhu Longshi's courtyard. If one looked carefully, one could see that there was some dissatisfaction in Chu Renyun's eyes. If the Divine King Realm Ghost God escaped, it would cause a lot of trouble for the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. This kind of thing must be stopped. It was Zhu Longshi's good luck that it did not cause trouble this time. But what would happen next time? When Mo Qingyun mentioned Luo Xie's matter, Chu Renyun's expression became uglier, and he said, "This Divine King Luo Xie is quite powerful. He dares to bully others. As a consecrator of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, he dares to injure our people. Looks like he needs to be taught a lesson." When Chu Renyun said this, the aura he emitted was obviously colder. Sensing Chu Renyun's aura, Tang Kaihe and Yun Luo were shocked, and they felt a lingering fear. They did not expect Chu Renyun to have such a reaction after hearing about Mo Qingyun's matter. In the end, when Chu Renyun heard about Tang Kaihe's matter, his aura slowly withdrew. Immediately, he looked at Tang Kaihe with a shocked expression and said, "You want to settle the score with Consecrator Mo?" "Yes." Tang Kaihe smiled bitterly and nodded. Seeing Tang Kaihe's performance, Chu Renyun nodded in admiration and said, "Consecrator Tang Kaihe, You are really capable. Hearing Chu Renyun's words, Tang Kaiha's expression became even more gloomy. If he knew it would be like this, he would not have done it even if he was beaten to death. When did he know that Mo Qingyun's face was so powerful? He was dumbfounded. While Tang Kaiha was gloomy, he suddenly thought of Chu Renyun's words. Mo Qingyun's special methods. Let them slowly experience it themselves. Thinking of this, Tang Kaiha looked at Chu Renyun with a shocked expression and said, Elder Chu Renyun, Consecrator Mo's special ability. Is conning one of them? Chu Renyun nodded. Looking at Tang Kaiha's expression, he looked like a child who could be taught. Hearing such an answer from Chu Renyun, Tang Kaiha was instantly dumbfounded. This is also possible? Conning can become a consecrator? Consecrator Mo, I have to report to the palace master, so I will take my leave first. Ignoring Tang Kaiha's gloominess, Chu Renyun knew the whole story, so he did not want to stay. Seeing Chu Renyun leave, Mo Qingyun did not stay and walked to his courtyard with Yin Luo. Tang Kaiha and Yin Luo looked at each other, smiled bitterly and shrugged, and also walked to their courtyard. End of this chapter. Chapter 31:47. In Chu Jiangxiao's courtyard. Chu Renyun came to Chu Jiangxiao's courtyard the moment he left the consecration mountain. Elder Chu Renyun, is little friend Mo adapting well on the consecration mountain? Seeing Chu Renyun arrive, Chu Jiangxiao revealed a faint smile and asked about Mo Qingyun's situation. Hearing Chu Jiangxiao's question, Chu Renyun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chu Jiangxiao actually asked if Mo Qingyun was adapting well on the consecration mountain. Was this a problem that needed to be considered? Based on Mo Qingyun's previous performance, was it because he wasn't adapting well? Wasn't it because others weren't adapting well? Palace Lord, I'm here to report this matter to you. Chu Renyun calmed himself down and explained his purpose in coming. I just delivered the reward for the ancient demon cavern to Consecrator Mo and asked him about his situation on the consecration mountain. Chu Jiangxiao's expression changed slightly, revealing a curious expression as he waited for Chu Renyun's report. Chu Renyun said, Not long before I went to the consecration mountain, something happened to the ghost god Zhu Longxi was consecrating. Moreover, it was a god-king realm ghost god that lost control and escaped from his residence. It almost escaped the consecration mountain. Zhu Longxi, Zheng, Ima, Wensheng, Lu Fengyi, and Tang Kaiha had to use all of their strength to barely trap it. Seeing Zhu Longxi in the other situation, Luo Xie from the 4th floor of the consecration mountain offered 20 million sky crystals, expressing his willingness to help them deal with the ghost god. However, when Zhu Longxi agreed, Luo Xie raised the price again, raising it to 30 million sky crystals. Moreover, if they want to capture the God King realm ghost god alive, they have to pay 50 million sky crystals. Hearing Chu Renyun's words, Chu Jiangxiao frowned, and a trace of displeasure appeared on his face. These people are consecrators of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, but they don't care about the safety of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace and the consequences of the ghost god's escape. They only care about their own benefits. It seems like these consecrators need to be cleaned up. Chu Renyun nodded his head repeatedly after hearing Chu Jiangxiao's thoughts. He also had the same thoughts. After Chu Jiangxiao spoke his thoughts, he signaled to Chu Renyun and said, What happened after that? Did Luo Xie make a move? Little friend Mo is also on the 6th level of the Mountain of Consecration. Did the God King ghost lose control and escape hurt him? Chu Renyun was dumbfounded by Chu Jiangxiao's question. He shook his head and said, Consecrated Mo saw that Luo Xie was going overboard. So he volunteered and asked Zhu Longxi to give him 10 million celestial crystals in exchange for his help in subduing the God King realm ghost god. Chu Jiangxiao's expression was one of shock. He was very surprised by this news. However, Chu Jiangxiao did not say anything and indicated for Chu Renyun to continue speaking. Luo Xie saw Sir Mo's actions and thought that Sir Mo was targeting him. He wanted to help Zhu Longxi lower the price, so he used his aura to injure Sir Mo. However, when Ma Wensheng and the others saw this, they hurriedly stopped them. Zhu Lang was desperate and accepted Sir Mo's condition. Then, Honorary Elder Mo ordered Zhu Longxi to summon the other ghosts and deities. He asked Tang Kaihe to command the battle, and Honorary Elder Mo to assist him with his divine abilities. Unexpectedly, Honorary Elder Mo, Tang Kaihe, and Zhang Yi joined forces and subdued the God King realm ghost god. Hearing Chu Renyun's narration, the shock on Chu Jiangxiao's face became more intense. Chu Jiangxiao thought for a while and sighed. A mere early heavenly soldier realm cultivator turned the tide and subdued the God King realm ghost god. Little friend Mo is indeed wise and brave. Hearing Chu Jiangxiao's words, Chu Renyun did not stop talking and continued to tell the story. When Chu Jiangxiao heard the part where Mo Qingyun and Tang Kaihe settled the debt, he was also dumbfounded. While Chu Jiangxiao was shocked, he also revealed a bright smile and said, "From the current situation, little friend Mo has integrated into the mountain of consecration. It seems that there is no need to worry about him." Chu Renyun heard this and cursed in his heart. Now, it was not the time to worry about Mo Qingyun, but the other consecrators. At this moment, in the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, what happened at the mountain of consecration quickly spread throughout the sect. What? Consecrator Mo just went to Mountain of Consecration and robbed a consecrator of 10 million heaven crystals. I knew that Consecrator Mo would definitely rob other consecrators. This is an instinct of his. It can't be changed. Consecrator Mo is really too impressive. This speed of accumulating wealth is really terrifying. Not just that, he even commanded several other consecrators and subdued a God King realm ghost god that went out of control. Too impressive. A mere heavenly soldier realm cultivation, and he can participate in a God King realm level battle. At this moment, the idolization of the disciples inside the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace toward Mo Qingyun reached an unprecedented level. Following the continuous spread of the news, it reached the ears of Chu Li and the rest very quickly. What? Mo Qingyun just went to Mountain of Consecration, and he scooped up 10 million heaven crystals. Hearing Mo Qingyun's matter, Chu Li was shocked until he opened his eyes wide, not daring to believe that this was true, because this news was seriously too shocking. Not just Chu Li found it hard to believe, the few people beside him also had shocked expressions on their faces. How long had it been? Not even a day's time was up, and Mo Qingyun already did such a shocking thing. How could this not shock them? Just what kind of freak is this guy? Can't he do something that humans do? Chu Li had a gloomy look. Feeling a strong blow, his mood was gloomy to the extreme. When he first met Mo Qingyun, he still looked down on Mo Qingyun's low cultivation and was very disdainful of Mo Qingyun. But the result? The things that Mo Qingyun did were more and more shocking each time. Pretending to be injured to cheat a God King. After cheating a God King, he also cheated a God King's descendant. Now, it was great, directly participating in a God King realm battle. This was too freakish. Thinking so in Chu Li's heart, he closed his eyes, feeling a kind of despair. Being in the same generation as Mo Qingyun was really too shocking. Regarding the rumors about himself, Mo Qingyun did not know. He had been in closed-door cultivation all along. A day's time passed by very quickly. After a day of cultivation, Mo Qingyun's injuries recovered. His cultivation even improved a little. When Mo Qingyun was cultivating, Lu Fengyi came once and left a list of materials. However, Lu Fengyi considered very thoroughly and did not really let Mo Qingyun collect the materials. The list that Lu Fengyi left was the price of each material. He helped Mo Qingyun gather everything. What Mo Qingyun needed to do now was to return the cost of these materials to Lu Fengyi. This Lu Fengyi looks boorish, but I didn't expect him to be so meticulous. Looking at the list in his hand, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "I'll go to Lu Fengyi's side to see how the armor modification is going." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he walked out of the courtyard and walked towards Lu Fengyi's side. Chapter 3148. Arriving outside Lu Fengyi's courtyard, Mo Qingyun felt a wave of energy coming from Lu Fengyi's courtyard. Sensing this powerful energy fluctuation, Mo Qingyun stopped in his tracks and didn't rashly walk in. Although he could resist the energy wave in the courtyard, he was not willing to take it head-on. Consecrator Mo, your armor still needs a few days to transform. Come back in a few days. Sensing Mo Qingyun standing outside the courtyard, Lu Fengyi did not come out to greet him. He only loudly informed Mo Qingyun. Hearing Lu Fengyi's words, Mo Qingyun did not want to stay and looked at Ma Wenqing's residence. If I ask Consecrator Ma for help, the pills refined should be better. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun walked towards Ma Wenqing's courtyard and saw Ma Wenqing tidying up the garden. Sensing Mo Qingyun's approach, Ma Wenqing put down the tools in his hands and greeted Mo Qingyun. Consecrator Mo, how come you have time to come here? Is there something you need from this old man? Although he had not been in contact with Mo Qingyun for long, Ma Wenqing was still very clear that Mo Qingyun would not visit a temple for no reason. I came to find Senior Ma to ask for your help. Hearing Ma Wenqing's question, Mo Qingyun did not hide and directly said, I obtained some alchemy materials, and I want to ask for your help to refine a batch of pills that can improve one's aptitude. You want me to refine pills? Ma Wenqing's expression changed slightly. He glanced at Mo Qingyun and said, with your cultivation talent, ordinary pills that can change one's aptitude will have very little effect on you. It could even be said that they are almost useless. Mo Qingyun's bloodline in the heaven realm belonged to the highest level. Even after his physique transformed into the amethyst thunderdragon, it was still at the peak. As a result, it would be impossible for Mo Qingyun to increase his cultivation talent through external items. Hearing Ma Wenqing's words, Mo Qingyun knew that he had misunderstood and hurriedly said, Senior misunderstood. I didn't use it myself, but rather prepared it for my clansmen. I see. Hearing Mo Qingyun's response, Ma Wenqing nodded in understanding. He already knew a little about Mo Qingyun's identity. Mo Qingyun was not from the heaven realm, but from an ordinary star realm. In the astral domain, the cultivation environment was harsh, the cultivation resources were scarce, and the talents of the cultivators were also very low. Mo Qingyun's situation could not be treated as a common scene. It could not even be considered an exception. Give me your alchemy materials. I'll see what kind of pills you can refine. Understanding Mo Qingyun's meaning, Ma Wenqing didn't say much and directly had Mo Qingyun take out the materials. Mo Qingyun nodded and placed all the alchemy materials in front of Ma Wenqing. Mo Qingyun even took out some of the materials he had obtained in the star realm, just in case they might be useful. These herbs are a bit interesting. This old man has never seen them before. Seeing the alchemy materials from the star realm, Ma Wenqing was surprised. He picked them up and examined them, saying, although the medicinal effects aren't very strong, they are very strange. I can use them to study them. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Ma Wenqing's actions and said with a faint smile, Senior, these alchemy materials came from the star realm. If you're interested, I will think of a way to help you collect more. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Ma Wenqing's eyes lit up, and he showed an expectant expression, saying, in that case, I will have to trouble you. For an elder, Mo Qingyun nodded with a faint smile and didn't say anything else as he watched Ma Wenqing sort out the alchemy materials. After a short moment, Ma Wenqing picked out all the alchemy materials he needed and said, these alchemy materials are useful to me. They can be used to refine the fate, reversing reincarnation, heaven-seizing pill. Of course, if I want to refine the fate, reversing reincarnation, heaven-seizing pill, I will need to add a few more alchemy materials. Hearing Ma Wenqing's words, Mo Qingyun's expression tightened, and he hurriedly said, Senior, what other alchemy materials do you need? I can go and prepare them. Ma Wenqing waved his hand, saying, no need to go through so much trouble. I just happen to have some here. I will make it up to you in a bit. How could this be? Hearing Ma Wenqing say this, Mo Qingyun felt a bit embarrassed and prepared to compensate Ma Wenqing. However, before Mo Qingyun could finish speaking, Ma Wenqing interrupted him and said, these alchemy materials of yours are very useful to me. I'll give you a few alchemy materials in exchange for them. If you don't agree, I won't refine any pills for you. Then I will do as Senior says. Hearing Ma Wensheng say this, Mo Qingyun didn't say anything else and accepted Ma Wensheng's suggestion. At the same time, he looked at Ma Wensheng with gratitude in his eyes. He could see that Ma Wensheng was clearly taking care of him by saying this. Although his alchemy materials weren't available in the heavenly realm, they weren't particularly precious. It was just that Ma Wensheng was interested in them and wanted to study them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have much value. All right, I'm going to refine pills. You could do as you wish. After taking the alchemy materials from Mo Qingyun's hands, Ma Wensheng turned around and left. Seeing that Ma Wensheng was going to refine pills, Mo Qingyun didn't stay and turn around to leave the courtyard. When Mo Qingyun left the courtyard, he happened to bump into Zhang Yi, who was walking out his residence. Consecrated Mo, are you looking for old Ma? Zhang Yi saw Mo Qingyun and greeted him with a faint smile. After a day of cultivation, his injuries had mostly recovered and there wasn't much of a problem. Hearing Zhang Yi's question, Mo Qingyun nodded and said, I am looking for Senior Ma to help me refine a batch of pills. Looking for old Ma to refine pills? Zhang Yi's expression froze for a moment. Then he revealed a playful smile and said, Consecrated Mo, you can actually ask old Ma to refine pills. It seems like you have a lot of rare things on you. Hearing Zhang Yi's words, Mo Qingyun's expression froze. Was it difficult to ask Ma Wensheng to refine pills? Why didn't he feel anything? It was as if Ma Wensheng readily agreed to his request. Senior Zhang, why do you say that? Mo Qingyun humbly asked for guidance. Seeing that Mo Qingyun really didn't understand, Zhang Yi said, Old Ma has a rule when helping people refine pills. You have to take out something that interests him. Otherwise, no matter who you are, even if you are a God King expert, he may not give you face. Even if Palace Master Chu came forward, Old Ma would only refine 3 batches of pills for him a year. Hearing Zhang Yi's words, Mo Qingyun's expression was shocked, and he felt a little incredulous. Asking Senior Ma to refine pills is actually so difficult. Thinking back to the situation just now, Mo Qingyun felt incomparably lucky. He thought to himself, Consecrated Ma said that I didn't need it before. Could it be that he wanted to reject me and only agreed to refine pills for me after seeing the alchemy materials? Thinking of this, Mo Qingyun had a plan and knew how to get old Ma to help him in the future. In a chapter. Chapter 3149. Exalted Elder Mo, since you have nothing to do, why don't you come over to my place? After exchanging a few words with Mo Qingyun, Zhang Yi gestured for Mo Qingyun to come over. Hearing Zhang Yi's suggestion, Mo Qingyun nodded without hesitation and followed Zhang Yi to his residence. Back in his courtyard, Zhang Yi called for Mo Qingyun to sit down and poured a cup of tea for Mo Qingyun. After pouring tea for Mo Qingyun, Zhang Yi sat down and said, Exalted Elder Mo, in our previous conversation, you mentioned that you have some understanding of formations. Why don't you tell me about it? Mo Qingyun rejoiced inside when he heard Zhang Yi take the initiative to mention formations. He nodded with a faint smile and said, Why not? Since Senior Zhang is willing to give me pointers, I am more than happy to do so. Mo Qingyun had been thinking about how to ask Zhang Yi about formations, but he didn't expect Zhang Yi to take the initiative. Zhang Yi chuckled at Mo Qingyun's words and didn't say anything. Seeing that Zhang Yi was willing to teach him, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and directly said to him, Senior Zhang, I'm sure you know that I'm from the starfield boundary, so my knowledge of formations is limited to those below the celestial soldier realm. Zhang Yi nodded and didn't say anything, indicating that he should continue. Mo Qingyun continued. According to the astral boundary, formations below the heavenly soldier realm can be divided into 9 levels. My current level of formations is roughly at the 7th level. The formations I have come into contact with so far are next. Mo Qingyun unhurriedly talked about some of his understandings of formations. Zhang Yi kept nodding as he listened to Mo Qingyun's narration. a look of admiration in his eyes. He could tell that Mo Qingyun's understanding of formations was very thorough. Not long after, when Mo Qingyun finished, Zhang Yi nodded approvingly and said, "From what you've said, I've discovered that your comprehension of formations is quite good. Your foundation is also quite solid. The reason why your progress was slow in the later stages was because you spent too little time and lacked guidance. From what you've said, you spent most of your time studying formations behind closed doors and rarely interacted with others." Mo Qingyun nodded in agreement with Zhang Yi's analysis. It wasn't just for formations, but also for refining and pills. Mo Qingyun began to reflect upon this point. When I was on the Tianhan continent, everything was smooth sailing. That was because of the accumulation of experience from my past life, making it very easy for me to learn everything. Later on, when I arrived at the wild continent, although my accumulation was depleted, my experience was still there, so it wasn't difficult to learn. But when I left the wild continent, this drawback was revealed. It made it much more difficult for me to learn alchemy, refining, and formations. After Mo Qingyun reflected on this, he found his shortcomings. Of course, Mo Qingyun couldn't be blamed for such a situation. After all, it had only been less than 100 years since his rebirth. In just 100 years, many people on the Tianhan continent couldn't even reach the 9th level of the martial Tao. After chatting with Mo Qingyun for a while, Zhang Yi continued, "Although my understanding of formations isn't at the top of the heaven realm, I have some of my own insights. You can tell me some of your doubts and doubts." Hearing Zhang Yi's words, Mo Qingyun didn't stand on ceremony and immediately voiced out some of his doubts. "Senior, I've discovered that in the later stages of formations, it's no longer just a simple activation of saint power, but also the activation of the laws of heaven. My progress in formations is slow in the later stages. Is it related to the comprehension of laws? Also, is the difference between the saint-level formations of the star-field realm and the god-level formations of the heaven realm in the level of laws?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Zhang Yi's eyes lit up, and he praised Mo Qingyun even more. He didn't expect that Mo Qingyun's understanding of formations would be so thorough, even though his attainments in formations weren't high. "You're right. The biggest difference between the two is the use of laws." After hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Zhang Yi didn't hide anything and immediately answered Mo Qingyun. "Not only that, the cultivation direction of the heaven realm is also the use of the power of laws. It's no longer just the cultivation of realm power." "Realm power?" Mo Qingyun's expression froze as he asked, "Senior, the realm power you're talking about, could it be saint power?" Zhang Yi nodded and said, "Realm power is a general term. Because the heavens are too big, each realm has a different name for power. For example, you call it saint power, but other realms might call it mana, profound energy, brute force, and so on. For a better understanding, the heaven realm calls it realm power. It can save a lot of trouble." Mo Qingyun nodded in understanding. Calling it realm power was indeed much easier to understand. After explaining a few words to Mo Qingyun, Zhang Yi didn't stop talking and said, "You've just come to the heaven realm and don't seem to be familiar with it, so I'll give you some knowledge first. Looking at your battle before, although you've broken through to the heavenly soldier realm, your fighting style is still the same as in the starfield realm. You rarely use the power of laws. In the heaven realm, if you can't learn to use the laws, once you reach the heavenly general realm, you'll be the weakest type." Hearing Zhang Yi's words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. When he fought with Chu Li and the others before, although he wasn't at a disadvantage at all, his talent was far superior to Chu Li and the others. For example, his physique was strong, and his recovery ability was astonishing. These were all things that Chu Li and the others didn't have. These advantages of his were all gone when he encountered a heavenly general undead ancient demon. Even if he resisted with all his strength, the heavenly general undead ancient demon could easily injure him with a single blow. Although the heavenly general undead ancient demon had intelligence, it couldn't be compared to humans. Therefore, it was the weakest heavenly general realm powerhouse. It was the same for the divine king realm ghost god. Although it had a certain level of intelligence, it couldn't be compared to humans. Otherwise, if it was a real divine king, all of them would have died. When Mo Qingyun thought of this, he felt a lingering fear, and his expression became even more humble. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Zhang Yi nodded with gratification. He was very satisfied with Mo Qingyun's humble attitude towards learning and said, "The specific division of the heaven realm is mainly based on the control of the laws." The heavenly soldier actually comprehended a trace of the laws. The heavenly general realm condensed the laws, achieved the transformation of the laws, and comprehended the origin of the concept. After reaching the great God realm, the laws will change qualitatively and can be transformed into divine weapons. The difference between a heavenly God realm powerhouse and a great God realm powerhouse is the increase in the number of laws. A heavenly God realm powerhouse has more than 10,000 law threads. The number of law threads of a divine king realm powerhouse has once again changed qualitatively. The laws are like the sea, overturning the world. I'm not very clear about the situation of the divine emperor and the divine venerable. It's too far away for you, so there's no need to understand. After listening to Zhang Yi's explanation, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock, and he had a lot of understanding in his heart. The direction of his cultivation in the future had also become much clearer and clearer. Chapter 3150. This little guy's appearance seems to be a little off. Seeing Mo Qingyun's appearance of having some enlightenment, Zhang Yi's brows furrowed slightly, a hint of surprise appearing on his face. Very soon, he saw Missouri Qingyun close his eyes and enter a kind of wondrous state. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Zhang Yi said in surprise, He actually had an epiphany. What terrifying comprehension ability. Zhang Yi observed carefully for a while and understood Mo Qingyun's situation. He revealed a look of surprise. He really did not expect that because of his few words of guidance, it actually made Mo Qingyun directly have an epiphany. Seeing Mo Qingyun have an epiphany, Zhang Yi did not disturb Mo Qingyun, got up and walked to one side. Rise, preventing Mo Qingyun from being disturbed by others. Zhang Yi raised his hand and beckoned, covering the 8 trigrams plate toward Mo Qingyun. Immediately, Mo Qingyun was covered inside the 8 trigrams plate, preventing being disturbed by the outside world from cultivating. Wonder what kind of gains he will have from his epiphany this time. At this moment, a strong curiosity arose in Zhang Yi's heart. Now, he somewhat understood why Mo Qingyun could advance by leaps and bounds from the lowest level cultivation plane to the heavenly realm so quickly. Taking out his 8 trigrams plate and letting Mo Qingyun cultivate in peace, he started to get busy with his own matters. Time passed very quickly. With Mo Qingyun wholeheartedly immersed in comprehending, 5 days passed just like that. In these 5 days, Lu Fengyi and Ma Wensheng came over one after another and left when they discovered that Mo Qingyun was cultivating. After 5 days, Lu Fengyi already modified the armor. Ma Wensheng also refined the medicinal pills. At this moment, in the 8 trigrams plate, the aura on Mo Qingyun, who had been cultivating all along without the slightest activity, suddenly became strong. Sensing Mo Qingyun's situation, Zhang Yi's expression changed, a hint of surprise appearing on his face as he said, This is the sign of laws taking form. He's preparing to manifest laws? Seeing Mo Qingyun's condition, Zhang Yi's face was filled with shock and disbelief. Under normal circumstances, as long as one's cultivation reached the heaven general realm, one would be able to manifest the laws. However, Mo Qingyun's current cultivation was only at the early stage of the heavenly soldier realm. Yet, he was about to manifest the laws. What an evildoer! Zhang Yi sighed with emotion. His gaze towards Mo Qingyun had undergone a huge change. He had seen many geniuses in his life, but it was his first time seeing someone like Mo Qingyun. While Zhang Yi was sighing inwardly, He waved his hand and put away the 8 trigrams disc. The 8 trigrams disc will hinder him from condensing laws. However, without the 8 trigrams disc's isolation, his cultivation will attract the attention of others. I have to get them to protect him and conceal his cultivation movements so that the people above won't notice. With this thought in mind, Zhang Yi sent a voice transmission to Zhu Longxi and the others, asking them to come over and help. Hearing Zhang Yi's voice transmission, Zhu Longxi and the others came over and looked at Zhang Yi in confusion. However, before they could ask Zhang Yi, their attention was attracted by Mo Qingyun. Manifestation of the laws? Tang Kaihe was shocked. His eyes widened as he said, "What's going on?" He's only at the early stage of the heavenly soldier realm. How can he manifest the laws? Zhang Yi was at a loss. He did not know either. Zhang Yi smiled bitterly and said, "A few days ago, I saw him coming out of Old Ma's courtyard and chatted with him for a while. Later, seeing that there was nothing to do, I invited him to come to my place to discuss formations. But during the conversation, he suddenly seemed to have comprehended something and directly entered a state of epiphany. After that, he was ready to manifest the laws." After listening to Zhang Yi's explanation, Lu Fengyi and the others were speechless. Could it be like this? We'll talk about the rest later. Let's quickly suppress his aura. After briefly explaining the situation to the few people, Zhang Yi urged them to take action to conceal Mo Qingyun's aura fluctuations. Hearing Zhang Yi's words, Ma Wensheng and the others immediately operated the laws to conceal Mo Qingyun's aura. Soon, Mo Qingyun's aura fluctuations disappeared, and everything returned to calm. If one observed carefully, they could still feel that the heaven and earth laws were rapidly gathering. After concealing Mo Qingyun's aura, Zhang Yi and the others looked nervously at Mo Qingyun's manifestation of the laws. Under Mo Qingyun's manifestation, the heaven and earth laws gathered more and more, faster and faster. Gradually, a light pillar as thick as an arm appeared in front of Mo Qingyun's body. Seeing such a scene, Zhang Yi and the others were stunned. This is his law thread? Is this called a thread? This is clearly a law staff. This kid is really strange. The law thread is actually so thick. Just from the appearance, the volume of his law thread is comparable to the law thread of a great god powerhouse. Hearing Zhang Yi and the others' words, Zhang Yi was shocked. A heavenly soldier's law thread condensed by a heavenly soldier was comparable to a great god realm cultivator. What kind of concept was this? How monstrous was this kid? Mo Qingyun was oblivious to Zhang Yi and the others' shock. He was concentrating on condensing the law thread. Earlier, under Zhang Yi's guidance, Huang Xiaolong had suddenly gained some enlightenment, and his view of cultivation had suddenly opened up. The Fortune Mainland's Grand Prime's law in origin was the best cultivation template. How could he give up and not use it? Why didn't he follow the Fortune Mainland's law construction method and condense his own law thread? With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately tried to condense the law thread. Then there was this scene. The result proved that he was right. The law thread he condensed was much stronger than an ordinary heavenly general's law thread, comparable to a great god realm cultivator's. Of course, a great god realm cultivator's law thread was much more than Mo Qingyun's. Time passed little by little. Soon, several hours had passed, and Mo Qingyun finally withdrew from his cultivation. As Mo Qingyun withdrew from his cultivation, the law thread he condensed also stopped growing. Mo Qingyun gave it a cursory glance. His law thread was about 100 meters long and as thick as his wrist. Not bad, although not as long as the dragon-claw fearsome leopard. The thickness is about the same. Mo Qingyun smiled in satisfaction as he glanced at the thread of law. With a thought, he put it away. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had withdrawn from his cultivation, Lu Fengyi and the others hurried over, looking at him in shock. At this moment, Mo Qingyun was like a monster in their eyes. Lu Fengyi asked curiously, "Consecrated Mo, what's wrong with you? Why is your law threads so different from other people's?" Is there a big difference? Hearing Lu Fengyi's question, Mo Qingyun was astonished. Earlier, I saw a dragonclaw fear sun leopard's law thread, and it seems to be similar to mine, but slightly longer than mine. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Lu Fengyi and the others were even more shocked, as if they were frightened. There was a dragonclaw fear sun leopard that was even more monstrous than Mo Qingyun. In a chapter, Baidu Search, 81, Chinese Websidio. No advertising message. Chapter 3151. Have you seen a dragon-claw blazing sun leopard with the same nomological threads as yours? After a while, Zhang Yi finally calmed down and couldn't help but ask. Mo Qingyun nodded calmly and said, "That's right. The nomological threads condensed by the dragon-claw blazing sun leopard are much longer than mine. I wonder if I'll be able to reach its level when I reach the great celestial stage." Zhang Yi and the others immediately became more natural when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. What did Mo Qingyun just say? When he reached the great celestial stage, would his nomological threads be the same as the dragon-claw blazing sun leopards? Didn't that mean that the dragon-claw blazing sun leopard cultivation had reached the sky celestial stage? Zhang Yi hurriedly asked, "Consecrator Mo, the dragon-claw blazing sun leopard you just mentioned, is it at the great celestial stage?" "That's right." Mo Qingyun nodded and didn't think too much about what Zhang Yi meant. Zhang Yi and the others didn't know whether to laugh or cry when they heard such an answer from Mo Qingyun's mouth. After all this time, the dragon-claw blazing sun leopard that Mo Qingyun was talking about was actually a great celestial stage brute demon. What was so strange about a great celestial stage brute demon having nomological threads as thick as a wrist and as long as 100 meters? Although they were a little depressed, because Mo Qingyun didn't explain it clearly, they felt much better. At least in their opinion, the dragon-claw blazing sun leopard was normal and not as monstrous as Mo Qingyun. Therefore, the blow to their hearts immediately lessened. After exchanging a few words with Mo Qingyun, Ma Wensheng walked to the front of the mountain and handed a jade bottle to Mo Qingyun. "Consecrator Mo, I've refined the elixir pills you wanted." Mo Qingyun was delighted when he saw the jade bottle Ma Wensheng handed over. He hurriedly took the jade bottle. 11 pills. Mo Qingyun was even more delighted when he opened the jade bottle and took a quick glance. Originally, he thought that even with Ma Wensheng's help, he would at most be able to refine 3 to 5 pills. Who would have thought that Ma Wensheng would actually refine 11 pills? This far exceeded his expectations. "Thank you, Senior Ma." Putting away the pills, Mo Qingyun cupped his hands in thanks and looked at Lu Fengyi. Seeing Mo Qingyun looking at him, Lu Fengyi immediately understood. He took out the god's armor and said, "Although I spent a lot of money, the power of this god's armor has increased tremendously. Due to Consecrator Mo's low cultivation, I have changed the energy required for the heavenly god Kai to be provided with heaven crystals. As long as Consecrator Mo is willing to pay the price, 10 million heaven crystals can withstand a single attack from a godly king. Of course, after blocking a god king's attack once, this Tian Shan Kai will be completely destroyed." Hearing Lu Fengyi's words, Mo Qingyun's expression was overjoyed, and his mood was immediately excited. Originally, he only thought that after the Tian Shan Kai was modified, he would be able to barely use it. He did not expect that after going through Lu Fengyi's modification, the power of the heavenly god Kai increased so much. 10 million heaven crystals, blocking a godly king's attack once. Worth it. The moment Mo Qingyun thought about it in his heart, he looked at Lu Fengyi curiously and asked, "Senior, blocking a godly king powerhouse's attack needs to expend 10 million heaven crystals. Blocking a celestial deity realm powerhouse, great deity realm, and heaven general realms attacks. How many heaven crystals does it need to expend?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Lu Fengyi's brows furrowed slightly, revealing a pondering expression. These questions he really did not go and think before. Lu Fengyi mused for a moment before saying, Blocking a celestial deity realm powerhouse's one attack roughly requires between 100,000 to 100,000 heaven crystals. As for a great deity realm's one attack, it roughly needs to expend 10,000 to 100,000 heaven crystals. Heaven general realm, just a few hundred will do. Hearing Lu Fengyi's narration, Mo Qingyun revealed a pondering expression, silently calculating in his heart. Calculating like this, with over 20 million heaven crystals on him, even if he ran into a celestial deity realm powerhouse, he also had some self-protection. While Mo Qingyun was pondering his heart, Lu Fengyi's words did not stop, and he continued. Not only so, each time the 100 battle heaven rending armor blocks an attack, it will even reflect 10% of the attack back onto the attacker's body. There's still such an ability? Hearing Lu Fengyi say so, the joy on Mo Qingyun's face immediately became even stronger. This way, as long as he had sufficient heaven crystals, celestial deity realm powerhouses did not need to fear either. He could just attack without restraint. Each counterattack damage would make the other party unable to bear it. Of course, this kind of thing was also just Mo Qingyun thinking about it. How could ordinary heavenly soldier realm people have several tens of millions of heaven crystals? Forget about several tens of millions of heaven crystals, even several million. Several 100,000 were also very scarce. Telling Mo Qingyun about the 100 battle heaven rending armor's ability, Lu Fengyi's face revealed a faint smile as he said, "Looking at your appearance previously, it seems like you have urgent matters to attend to and want to refine the 100 battle heaven rending armor as soon as possible?" "Yes." Mo Qingyun nodded his head. Seeing Mo Qingyun say so, Lu Fengyi pointed at Zhang Yi and said, "If you're not afraid of spending heaven crystals, you take out 1,000,000 heaven crystals and let Zhang Yi set up a sky-stealing, sun-swapping cycle divine formation. You can completely refine the 100 battle heaven rending armor within a day." The moment he heard Lu Fengyi's words, Mo Qingyun's expression lit up and he nodded his head in agreement without the slightest hesitation. Immediately, Mo Qingyun took out 1,000,000 heaven crystals and handed it to Zhang Yi's hand, saying, "I'll have to trouble Senior Zhang." Regarding Mo Qingyun's request, Zhang Yi did not say much either, immediately starting to set up the array formation. Several hours later, under Zhang Yi's hands, the array formation was set up, emitting a mysterious aura. After the array formation was set up, Zhang Yi condensed a hand seal, activating the array formation. Following the activation of the array formation, Mo Qingyun clearly sensed wave after wave of mysterious power pouring into his body. Sensing this power entering his body, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate at all, immediately taking out the 100 battle heaven rending armor to refine. During the process of refining the 100 battle heaven rending armor, Mo Qingyun clearly sensed that the power derived from the array formation was tempering the armor. Through the tempering of this power, Mo Qingyun's refining speed of the 100 battle heaven rending armor immediately increased to the limit. Indeed, it's still good to be rich. Sensing his refining speed, Mo Qingyun was delighted in his heart and could not help sighing emotionally. While Mo Qingyun was sighing in his heart, he could not help thinking of Chu Jiangshao and thought to himself, if Big Brother Chu helps out, the speed should not be slow either, right? Mo Qingyun was just thinking about it and would not really do it. Otherwise, he would not have accepted Lu Fengyi's suggestion and requested Zhang Yi to set up the array formation for him. In his view, Chu Jiangshao gave him a lot of help. He could not go and trouble the other party anymore. Seeing Mo Qingyun refine the 100 battle heaven rending armor, Tang Kaihe could not resist sighing and said, "Although revered elder Mo is young, this boldness is truly extraordinary. Spending 1,000,000 heaven crystals like this, even I can't bear to part with it too." Hearing Tang Kaihe's words, Lu Fengyi and the rest nodded their heads one after another. 1,000,000 heaven crystals, even to them, was not a small sum. Chapter 31:52. A day's time passed by quickly. With the support of the sky-stealing, sun-swapping divine formation, Mo Qingyun spent a day to successfully refine the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor. Since the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor is refined, it's time to return to the star field boundary. After withdrawing from cultivation, Mo Qingyun did not want to waste any time and prepare to set off immediately. Seeing Mo Qingyun withdrawing from cultivation, Zhang Yi quickly formed a hand seal and closed the sky-stealing, sun-swapping divine formation. Coming out from the sky-stealing, sun-swapping divine formation, Mo Qingyun bowed to everyone and said, "Many thanks to seniors for your help recently. I will remember this favor in my heart. If there is a chance in the future, I will definitely repay it." Mo Qingyun's gratitude and promise made Zhang Yi and the others nod with gratified smiles on their faces. They could see that Mo Qingyun was sincerely grateful to them and was not pretending to be polite. Mo Qingyun's potential was great. A favor from him was still very important. "Seniors, I still have matters to attend to, so I won't chat with you anymore." After thanking them, Mo Qingyun did not waste any more time. He bade them farewell and said, "Wait until I'm done with my business and return to the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. I'll have a good chat with you all." "Okay, be careful." Listening to Mo Qingyun's words, they smiled faintly and reminded Mo Qingyun. At this moment, while they were talking, Yun Luo came again and said, "Young Palace Master, you're done cultivating. Can we set off?" Mo Qingyun nodded and looked at Lu Fengyi, thinking, "There's no time. Otherwise, I could ask Senior Lu to help me refine a powerful divine weapon." When Mo Qingyun thought of this, he felt a little regretful and did not speak to Lu Fengyi. However, it was useless for Mo Qingyun to ask. His wealth might not be enough to refine a divine weapon. The strengthening materials that LV Fengyi provided previously were worth over 5 million heaven crystals. Excluding these heaven crystals, the number of heaven crystals on Mo Qingyun's body was just over 16 million. Mo Qingyun estimated in his heart that it would cost at least 15 million heaven crystals to forge a heavenly divine weapon that he could use. In this way, he had the heavenly deity weapon and heavenly deity armor, but he did not have the heaven crystals to power them. "Let's go." After talking to everyone, Mo Qingyun signaled Yun Luo and flew out of the Consecration Mountain. Soon, Mo Qingyun and Yi Zichen left Consecration Mountain and flew towards the Sky Demon Mountain Range. As soon as the two of them entered the Sky Demon Mountain Range, Yun Luo took out her magic treasure and released her aura to intimidate the surrounding demonic beasts. In the intelligent demon region, the two of them had a smooth journey. Soon, they arrived at the barbarian demon region. After entering the barbarian demon region, Mo Qingyun and his companion were much more careful. They didn't run as fast as before. However, although the two of them were much more careful, they were also not as nervous as the previous few times. With the previous few experiences, the path that Mo Qingyun and Yi Zichen chose did not have powerful barbarian demons along the way. Even some powerful barbarian demons, their strength was only at the Heaven General realm. Now, Mo Qingyun had the heavenly deity armor protecting him and also condensed law threads. Even facing a Heaven General realm barbarian demon, he did not have the slightest fear. Although he still could not beat it, it was still not difficult to preserve his life. Encountering the big dog this time, if it dares to find trouble again, see if I don't teach it a lesson. Recalling how they were abused by the Dragon Claw Fierce Sun Leopard during the previous few times, Mo Qingyun felt displeased in his heart. It better not let him find a chance. Otherwise, he would definitely beat up the Dragon Claw Fierce Sun Leopard until it doubted its life as a demon. Under Mo Qingyun and Yi Zichen's familiarity, they arrived in front of the spatial rift very quickly. Not disappointing Mo Qingyun, the two of them had just arrived in front of the spatial rift when they encountered the Dragon Claw Fierce Sun Leopard. Roar! Seeing that Mo Qingyun and Yi Zichen were here again, the Dragon Claw Fierce Sun Leopard was instantly enraged. In its opinion, these two little fellows were too arrogant as they repeatedly challenged its tolerance limit. What's so great about being a descendant of a divine king? How can a descendant of a divine king be so arrogant and bully an honest demon like this? The dragon claw fierce sun leopard roared and charged towards Mo Qingyun and Yi Zichen. It swung its paw at Mo Qingyun and Yi Zichen. I was waiting for you to make a move. Seeing the dragon claw fierce sun leopard attacking, Mo Qingyun revealed a faint smile and his eyes were filled with anticipation. Although he heard from Lu Fengyi about the specific situation of 100 battle heaven splitting armor, he still wanted to personally test it. A heaven god realm demon beast was too powerful, and blocking its attack would consume too much energy. It was not a target that Mo Qingyun considered. A heaven general demon beast was not powerful enough and might not be able to detect any results. Therefore, a great god realm demon beast was the most suitable target. Coincidentally, he had a grudge with the dragon claw fierce sun leopard. Cast. Facing the dragon claw fierce sun leopard's attack, Mo Qingyun did not retreat and directly cast out the divine armor. Immediately, a shocking aura erupted from Mo Qingyun's body. Sensing Mo Qingyun's aura, the dragon claw fierce sun leopard's body trembled and fear emerged in its eyes. After not seeing him for a few days, it clearly felt that Mo Qingyun was stronger than before. Not only that, this time, Mo Qingyun's body had an additional defensive armor. Judging from the aura of the armor, it seemed to be very terrifying and made the dragon claw fierce sun leopard somewhat fearful. Noticing such a situation, the dragon claw fierce sun leopard's gaze changed greatly. Although the dragon claw fierce sun leopard was startled, it did not hesitate to attack. Bang! Its claw slammed down and directly hit the 100 battle heaven splitting armor, causing the armor to flash with light. Immediately after, an imposing light wave exploded from the 100 battle heaven splitting armor. Bang! When the light wave blasted out, it struck the dragon claw fierce sun leopard and violently sent it flying. The dragon claw fierce sun leopard let out a miserable shriek and immediately pulled away from Mo Qingyun. 17,000 heaven crystals have been consumed. After blocking the dragon claw fierce sun leopard's attack, Mo Qingyun immediately knew how many heaven crystals had been consumed to block the attack. This dragon claw fierce sun leopard had been in the great god realm for a long time and was not far from the mid-great god realm. Blocking its full attack consumed 17,000 heaven crystals, which was about the same as what Lu Fengyi had said. Big dog, aren't you very arrogant? Why are you scared now? Seeing the dragon claw fierce sun leopard's fearful eyes and not daring to attack him, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled. Shortly after, he flew towards the dragon claw fierce sun leopard with extreme arrogance. As for Yin Luo, she also took out her sword Dao origin and looked like she was going to attack the dragon claw fierce sun leopard. Seeing Mo Qingyun and Yin Luo's stance, the dragon claw fierce sun leopard was depressed to the extreme. They were simply bullying a demon. Roar! Under the pressure of Mo Qingyun and Yin Luo, the dragon claw fierce sun leopard let out an unwilling roar and turned around to flee. It had no choice but to flee. Mo Qingyun and Yin Luo both had stronger trump cards than the other. They were clearly bullying it. Seeing the dragon claw fierce sun leopard fleeing, Mo Qingyun did not chase after it and greeted Yin Luo. This time, he finally vented his anger. End of chapter. Chapter 3153. Let's go. After scaring the dragon claw fierce sun leopard away, Mo Qingyun walked towards the spatial rift and took out the heaven-sealing purple thunderbell. Taking out the heaven-sealing purple thunderbell, Mo Qingyun and Yin Luo entered together. With the previous experience, Mo Qingyun entering the spatial rift again could be said to be a walk in the park. Very soon, the spatial rift back to the star domain boundary was found by Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun steered the heaven-sealing purple thunderbell and easily passed through the spatial rift, returning to the star domain boundary. I wonder how the true Primordium Devil Hall situation is during this period of time. Putting away the heaven-sealing purple thunderbell, Mo Qingyun was anxious to return home and developed a sense of worry. Mo Qingyun raised his hand and beckoned. A flying boat with an astonishing aura appeared in front of him. This flying boat was extorted from Yu Li in the ancient demon cave. The two leaped onto the flying boat. Mo Qingyun steered the flying boat and flew towards the true primordium devil hall. The heavenly god-level flying boat's speed was extremely fast. Mo Qingyun's Pegasus realm crossing leap might not be faster than it. As expected of a heavenly god-level flying boat, its speed is indeed incomparably fast. Feeling the flying boat's speed, Mo Qingyun exclaimed in his heart and revealed a satisfied smile. Although his Pegasus realm crossing leap speed was very fast, the consumption was also extremely great. Even with his current cultivation, he would feel some pressure after using it more than 10 times. Continuously using Pegasus realm crossing leap 10 times, the flying distance was not too far. It was far inferior to driving a heavenly god-level flying boat. In less than 2 hours, Mo Qingyun and Yun Luo steered the flying boat and arrived above the true primordium devil hall. Standing above the true primordium devil hall, Mo Qingyun discovered that there were many factions setting up camp around the true primordium devil hall. Looking at the posture of these camps, it seemed like they were besieging the true primordium devil hall. These fellows are indeed restless. Looking at the campsite around the true absolute beginning devil hall, Mo Qingyun chuckled as a chill emanated from his body. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Yun Luo's beautiful eyes moved and asked, "Young Palace Master, these guys actually took advantage of your absence to attack the true absolute beginning devil hall. Should we slaughter them?" Hearing Yun Luo's question, Mo Qingyun shook his head and said, "There's no rush to destroy them. Let's return to the true demon hall first and see how everyone is doing." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he brought Yun Luo with him and disappeared from the spot. When Mo Qingyun's figure appeared again, he had already arrived at the true absolute beginning devil hall. When Mo Qingyun entered the true absolute beginning devil hall, he realized that some of the disciples were injured. However, although everyone was injured, they still had an aura that soared into the sky. Looks like the constant fighting these days has tempered the disciples. Sensing the disciple situation, the corners of Mo Qingyun's mouth curled up slightly as an idea came to his mind. He thought to himself, "I'm now in the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, so it's very convenient for me to return to the true absolute beginning devil hall. But if I leave the 10,000 Demon Mountain range, it won't be easy for me to return. Therefore, I have to make sure that the true absolute beginning devil hall will never have any future troubles." What Mo Qingyun wanted to do now was not to destroy all the enemies, but to make the true absolute beginning devil hall stronger. At this moment, Mo Qingyun suddenly realized that his previous thoughts were wrong. If he destroyed all the enemies, the disciples of the true absolute beginning devil hall would no longer be pressured, and their cultivation speed would definitely slow down. At that time, if someone broke through to the heaven general realm in the star domain realm, the true absolute beginning devil hall would also be in danger. Therefore, only when the true absolute beginning devil hall became stronger would they not be afraid of all dangers. Everyone is in the conference hall. Let's go. Mo Qingyun released his consciousness and sensed the true absolute beginning devil hall. Then he walked towards the conference hall. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yun Luo hurriedly followed and quickly arrived at the conference hall. Mo Qingyun and Yun Luo walked into the conference hall. Everyone was already gathered there, as if they were discussing something. Seeing everyone's expressions, Mo Qingyun's mood relaxed a little. From the looks of it, the situation wasn't too serious. Everyone was still fine. "Qingyun, you're back. Master is back. That's great, Mr. Mo is back." Seeing Mo Qingyun walk into the hall, everyone was pleasantly surprised and stood up to welcome him. Towards everyone's actions, Mo Qingyun waved his hand with a faint smile, indicating that there was no need to be so polite. After a while, when Mo Qingyun and Yun Luo sat down, Lei Muin's pretty face was nervous. She said, "Qingyun, Did you find the origin of the heavenly general concept during your trip to the heaven realm? I found it. Hearing Lame Yuan's question, Mo Qingyan nodded and said, Did you find all the refining materials you were looking for? Seeing that Mo Qingyan had found the origin of the heavenly general concept, Lame Yuan and the others were all overjoyed. However, when Mo Qingyan asked about the refining materials they were looking for, all of them frowned. Their search for refining materials wasn't particularly smooth. There were still a few that they hadn't found. Lame Yuan pondered for a while and said, We found the 100-million-year-old scorching iron essence and some other materials, but we didn't find the Genesis netherworld stone. Like the heavenly general concept, it doesn't seem to belong to the astral realm. Hearing Lame Yuan's words, the corners of Mo Qingyan's mouth curled up slightly. He smiled and said, What a coincidence. I obtained a lot of refining materials in the heaven realm this time. Coincidentally, the Genesis netherworld stone was among them. However, I didn't find the 100-million-year-old scorching iron essence. Take out the refining materials you obtained, and let me take a look. Let's see if we can complement each other. Hearing Mo Qingyan's words, Lame Yuan and the others didn't hesitate and immediately took out the refining materials. Soon, one by one, rare refining materials appeared in front of Mo Qingyan. It seems like it's just as I thought. Some refining materials are only in the heaven realm, while others are only in the astral realm. Seeing the refining materials in front of him, Mo Qingyan revealed a look of understanding. He had an answer to his guess. He said, If our refining materials complement each other, we'll have all the materials to upgrade the divine sword of 9 bowls. We can start upgrading the divine sword of 9 bowls. Hearing Mo Qingyan's words, everyone was overjoyed and their expressions relaxed. Once the divine sword of 9 bowls was upgraded, even if the dark demon Sacred Lord broke through, they would have a way to fight back. After chatting with everyone for a while, Mo Qingyan revealed a curious expression. He said, How are the Dark Star and the Thunder Ice Phoenix? Did they successfully break through to the heavenly general realm? Hearing Mo Qingyan's question, everyone shook their heads. Disappointment flashed through their eyes. Seeing everyone's reaction, Mo Qingyan wasn't disappointed. He appeared very calm. Breaking through to the heavenly general realm wasn't easy. Although Mo Qingyan had made a trip to the heaven realm, it had only been a few days. It was obviously not easy to break through from the heavenly soldier realm to the heavenly general realm in just a few days. However, now that he had the 100-battle heaven splitting armor, Mo Qingyan had no more worries. Once the divine sword of 9 bowls was upgraded, even if the Sacred Lord broke through to the heavenly general realm, he would be able to fight him. Chapter 31:54. Since I have all the materials, let's upgrade the 9-bowl divine sword first. After putting away the materials, Mo Qingyan didn't want to waste any time and prepared to start refining immediately. Hearing Mo Qingyan's thoughts, Lame Yuan moved slightly and said, Qingyan, how are we going to deal with the people from the various sects surrounding the true Grand Primordium Devil Hall? Should we drive them away? No need. Mo Qingyan shook his head and said, During this period of time, the sect has obtained a large amount of cultivation resources, allowing the cultivation of the disciples to soar. The rapid growth of their cultivation has made their foundation unstable. They need to go through some battle strength to adapt to the sudden increase in strength. Now that the people from the various sects are gathered here, it's a good target for everyone to train their battle strength. As long as they don't attack on a large scale, there's no need to pay attention to them. Hearing Mo Qingyan's words, Lame Yuan and the others nodded and noted it down. Their expressions became more relaxed. In their opinion, since Mo Qingyan had returned, it didn't matter even if the various sects attacked on a large scale. The true absolute beginning Devil Hall wasn't weaker than them. The only thing they were worried about now was that the dark demon race's holy lord had broken through to the heaven general realm. I'm going to upgrade the 9-bowl divine sword. Don't call me if there's nothing for the next few days. After explaining to everyone, Mo Qingyun got up and walked out of the hall to refine the nine-bull divine sword. Mo Qingyun went to upgrade the nine-bull divine sword, and Yun Luo followed closely behind. She had returned to the clan this time and studied the 12 Godly Swords forging manual. Now, that Mo Qingyun was upgrading the nine-bull divine sword. She should be able to help a little if she was by his side. Mo Qingyun didn't refuse Yun Luo's following. He had the same thoughts as Yun Luo. After coming out of the meeting hall, Mo Qingyun didn't immediately go into seclusion. Instead, he went to Enchen's residence. Arriving at Enchen's residence, Mo Qingyun released his divine sense to sense Enchen's situation. The laws are beginning to manifest. This is the sign of advancing to the heaven general realm. Sensing Enchen's situation, Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction and said, "The laws that Enchun comprehended in his previous life were the laws of the celestial realm. Thus, when he breaks through in the astral boundary, he needs to comprehend the laws of the astral boundary again. It's because of this that his breakthrough became more difficult and delayed some time. However, judging from the current situation, it won't be long before Enchun breaks through to the heavenly general stage." After knowing Enchen's situation, Mo Qingyun did not disturb him and withdrew his divine consciousness. Mo Qingyun withdrew his divine sense. His figure moved again, and he came to the sky above the Jadefall frost pool. Arriving at the edge of the Jadefall lake, Mo Qingyun once again released his divine sense to sense the situation of the Luai's Ice Phoenix. Mo Qingyun had a clear understanding of the Thunder Ice Phoenix's situation after probing it for a while. Although the Luai's Ice Phoenix has comprehended the laws of the astral boundary, the degree of condensation is far inferior to Enchen's. It seems that it's more difficult to break through. After sensing the Luai's Ice Phoenix's situation, Mo Qingyun withdrew his divine consciousness and frowned slightly. He thought to himself, "The law threads that I have condensed are also the laws of the celestial realm. I wonder if they can be used in the astral boundary?" With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately urged the law threads. Under Mo Qingyun's urging, a light pillar that was dozens of meters long appeared in front of him. Mo Qingyun frowned as he looked at his nomological threads and thought to himself, "The power of my nomological threads seems to be suppressed. It seems that the nomological laws of different realms will be suppressed in other realms." When Mo Qingyun discovered this, he didn't find it strange. He felt that this was very normal. After understanding his situation, Mo Qingyun added, "Although it is suppressed, my law threads are very powerful. Even if the Dark Demon Sacred Master broke through to the Sky General Grade, the law threads he condensed shouldn't be comparable to mine." With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun withdrew the law threads and returned to Yun Luo's side. Let's go and refine the nine-bull divine sword. After instructing Yun Luo, Mo Qingyun walked forward and returned to his residence. Yun Luo followed closely behind him, and they arrived at Mo Qingyun's residence together. When Mo Qingyun returned to his residence, he didn't waste any time and immediately took out the refining materials. When she saw Mo Qingyun take out the refining materials, Yun Luo started to sort them out and put them aside in an orderly manner. Soon, the refining materials were ready and waiting for Mo Qingyun to start refining them. Boom! After everything was ready, Mo Qingyun didn't waste any time and immediately condensed a ball of flame. Then, Mo Qingyun picked up a refining material and started to refine and purify it. Seeing Mo Qingyun condense the refining materials, Yun Luo didn't hesitate and helped him with all her might. Next, Mo Qingyun and Yun Luo worked together to improve the nine-bull divine sword. When Mo Qingyun and Yun Luo were improving the nine-bull divine sword, Lei Muin and the others didn't hesitate and led their disciples to fight with the various sections. However, according to Mo Qingyun's instructions, they didn't participate in the battle and only allowed the disciples with lower cultivation to participate. The various sects didn't think much of Lei Muin and the others' actions and only sent out disciples with lower cultivation. They had come to invade the true Devil Palace because they were forced to do so and had no choice but to do so. Lei Muin, even if the Dark Demon race's Holy Lord is broken through the limits of a great emperor, don't put up a pointless struggle. Looking at Lei Muin in the true Demon Palace, Cheng Xingyi, who had a good relationship with Mo Qingyun, tried to persuade her as if he couldn't bear it. He seemed to be worried that Lei Muin wouldn't have a good ending if she continued to resist. Lei Muin shook her head at Cheng Xingyi's persuasion and said, "You want me to surrender? Unless you destroy the true Demon Palace, it's impossible." Cheng Xingyi sighed after hearing such an answer from Lei Muin and didn't continue to persuade her. After knowing Lei Muin's attitude, Lin Qingxuan and the others beside Cheng Xingyi all had heavy expressions. The true Demon Palace was very strong. If they continued to resist stubbornly, it wouldn't be a good thing for them. At that time, even if they broke through the true Demon Palace, they would probably have to pay a price. More importantly, they had besieged the true Demon Palace for many days and hadn't seen Mo Qingyun appear. This made them very uneasy. Logically speaking, with Mo Qingyun's strong personality, he definitely wouldn't allow them to do so. Although they didn't understand, they had no choice but to do so under the pressure of the Dark Demon race. At that moment, while Cheng Xingyi and the others were sighing, several figures flew toward them. Seeing these figures arrive, Cheng Xingyi and the others tensed up. Anger surged in their eyes. Ing Wudi and the others had arrived. "Welcome, elders." Seeing Ing Wudi and the others arrive, Lin Qingxuan and the others showed fear on their faces and bowed. Soon, Ing Wudi and the others entered the camp with Lin Qingxuan and the others. Chapter 3155. Have there been any strange movements in Absolute Beginning Devil Hall recently? Ing Wudi sat at the top of the tent and asked the people below with a lofty attitude. Lin Qingxuan and the others had a heavy expression. Cheng Xingyi said, "There hasn't been any strange movements in Absolute Beginning Devil Hall. Mo Qingyun hasn't shown himself either. I don't know what they're planning." Fan Yuqin frowned when she heard Cheng Xingyi's words. She thought for a moment and said, "Oh right, a disciple reported to me that something is wrong with Mo Qingyun. His cultivation has become a sector lord. I didn't pay much attention to it before. I thought the disciple had sensed wrongly. He hasn't shown himself recently. Could be true." Hearing Fan Yuqin's words, the expressions of Ing Wudi and the others changed, shock appearing on their faces. If it was true, it was a little unusual. Where is that disciple now? Ing Wudi's expression was tense as he asked Fan Yuqin. Fan Yuqin said, "I'll summon him now and ask him to explain the situation." Ing Wudi and the others nodded and gestured for Fan Yuqin to summon the disciple. Soon, a young man in the intermediate stage of Sector Lord Realm entered the tent. "Greetings, lords." He glanced at everyone in the tent and bowed respectfully. Fan Yuqin waved her hand indifferently at the young man's bow. "Wang Zheng, report what you saw that day to Elder Ing Wudi." "Yes," Wang Zheng replied. "That day, when we fought with Absolute Beginning Devil Hall, Mo Qingyun was standing beside Lei Muin and seemed to be discussing something. However, Mo Qingyun's aura was very different from when he was in the Alliance. He didn't give us any pressure at all. I didn't understand and released my soul to sense. I discovered that Mo Qingyun's cultivation is only at the Sector Lord realm. I discovered this and told a few others about it. They all sensed it, and the result was the same as mine." Ing Wudi and the others' expressions changed slightly after hearing Wang Zheng's explanation. It seemed like it wasn't fake. "You may leave." After Wang Zheng finished speaking, Fan Yuqin waved her hand and let him leave the tent first. As for calling the others, Ing Wudi and the others didn't do so. They didn't think it was necessary. In their opinion, even if Wang Zheng was given 10 guts, he would also not dare to lie in front of everyone. Although Wang Zheng confirmed that Fan Yuqin was telling the truth, Ing Wudi did not fully believe her. Ing Wudi pondered for a moment and said, "Mo Qingyun is very cunning. We can't be careless with him. Do you think his cultivation has really slipped, or Is he deliberately hiding it to set us up? Hearing Ing Wudi's words, Lin Qingxuan and the others looked at each other, uncertain for a moment. With their understanding of Mo Qingyun, it was not impossible for him to do such a thing. However, with the strength of the true beginning Devil Hall, Mo Qingyun did not need to do so. Lin Qingxuan thought for a moment and spoke his thoughts first. He said, I think that Mo Qingyun must have made a mistake in his cultivation, causing his cultivation to slip. Otherwise, with Mo Qingyun's domineering personality, he wouldn't have reacted to our encirclement of the true beginning Devil Hall. As soon as Lin Qingxuan finished speaking, Chang Xingyi continued, I think so too. Not only has Mo Qingyun not appeared, but even in Chun, Xian Yang and the others have not appeared. This is too strange. In my opinion, these people have not appeared at all. They should be treating Mo Qingyun and have no time to care about our invasion. Ma Bei and the others did not speak, but nodded in agreement. After hearing Lin Qingxuan and Chang Xingyi's thoughts, Ing Wudi thought for a moment and agreed with them. He said, if that's the case, now is the best time to attack the true beginning Devil Hall. Lin Qingxuan and the others immediately became stern when they heard Ing Wudi's words. Mo Qingyun's cultivation had slipped, and In Chun and the others needed to treat Mo Qingyun, so they could not pay attention to their invasion. However, if they attacked with their full strength, In Chun and the others would definitely appear and fight to the death with them. The true beginning Devil Hall was very powerful. If they really fought to the death, they might not be able to gain an advantage. Ing Wudi's face sank when he saw Lin Qingxuan and the others' behavior. He became displeased and said, looking at your behavior, you don't seem to be willing to wage war against the true beginning Devil Hall. Could it be that your submission to my clan is just a temporary measure, and you're prepared to feign civility with us? Lin Qingxuan and the others panicked when they heard Ing Wudi's rebuke. They immediately explained to Ing Wudi, please do not be angry, Holy Emperor Ing Wudi. We're not dawdling. We just want to be careful. The true beginning Devil Hall is not weak. Even if something has happened to Mo Qingyun's cultivation, we cannot be careless. Moreover, it's a crucial time for the sacred Lord to break through. We don't want to act rashly and cause unnecessary changes. Ing Wudi's expression improved slightly after Lin Qingxuan and the others' explanation. Afterwards, Ing Wudi ordered Lin Qingxuan and the others with a sunken face, you don't have to worry about the sacred Lord's breakthrough. I've come this time to tell you that the sacred Lord has successfully broken through. Now that the sacred Lord has successfully broken through, there's nothing to worry about. Lin Qingxuan and the others were shocked when they heard Ing Wudi's words. They all paled. The sacred Lord of the Dark Demons had really broken through. His cultivation had surpassed Emperor level. With that, the astral boundary would probably be completely under the control of the Dark Demons from now on. Congratulations, Sacred Lord. Although they were very shocked and unwilling, Lin Qingxuan and the others still congratulated him. There was nothing they could do. At this point, all of their resistance was meaningless. Very soon, despair appeared on everyone's faces. Ing Wudi sneered proudly when he saw Lin Qingxuan and the others' reaction. The Sacred Lord's cultivation has broken through. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Attack the true beginning Devil Hall with all your might. Lin Qingxuan and the others exchanged glances and shook their heads helplessly when they heard Ing Wudi's words. Ing Wudi ignored what Lin Qingxuan and the others were thinking. He got up and walked out of the tent. Very soon, everyone arrived above the true beginning Devil Hall under Ing Wudi's lead. Ing Wudi's face turned cold when he looked at the true beginning Devil Hall below. He shouted, Mo Qingyun, haven't you always wanted to deal with me? Now that I'm here, do you have the ability to come out and fight me? Ing Wudi's words spread throughout the true beginning Devil Hall and attracted the attention of Lei Muin and the others. Lei Muin and the others all looked over when they heard Ing Wudi's words. They faced off against Ing Wudi and the others. End of chapter. Chapter 3156. You're just a clown. There's no need for Qin Yin to deal with you. Lame Yuan snorted softly when she saw Ing Wudi in the air. Disdain appeared on her face as she said, "There's no point in just boasting. Bring it on if you have the ability. My true primordium demon hall fears no one." Hearing Lame Yuan's words, Zhou Jing and the others beside her looked like they were ready to fight to the bitter end. Lin Qingxuan couldn't bear to see how Lame Yuan and the others were behaving. He said, "Hall Master Lei, Hall Master Zhou, the Sacred Lord has already broken through the limits of a great emperor and ascended to the highest realm. Resistance is meaningless. Don't make unnecessary sacrifices." Lin Qingxuan's reminder made Lame Yuan and the others' expressions change slightly. They were a little surprised by this news. However, it was just a surprise. They didn't panic at all. Mo Qingyun was already refining the divine Sword of Nine Bowl. As long as it was completed, he would have a trump card to fight against the Sacred Lord. In that case, they should fight to the end and buy enough time for Mo Qingyun. Looking at Lin Qingxuan and the others, Lame Yuan said calmly, "So what if he broke through? My true beginning demon hall fears no one. If the Sacred Lord is really capable, feel free to come and fight." Lame Yuan's domineering attitude made Lin Qingxuan and the others' expressions change. Admiration rose up in their hearts. Lame Yuan wasn't old, but her aura and courage weren't something they could compare to. When they heard that the Sacred Lord had broken through, their first thought was despair. However, Lame Yuan wanted to fight. This difference in mentality led to different situations. Lame Yuan and the others were still resisting. They still had the right to control their own fates and fought for a chance to win. On the other hand, what about them? They had completely lost themselves and become tools of the dark demon race. They couldn't control their own lives. "You talk big." Hearing Lame Yuan's words, Ing Wudi snorted coldly and said, "There's no need for the Holy Lord to personally deal with people like you." Seeing that Ing Wudi was imitating her, Lame Yuan curled her lips in disdain and said, "Do you only know how to imitate me? Since the Holy Lord's cultivation has broken through, why doesn't he even dare to show his face? Didn't the dark demons see us as a thorn in their side? Since the Holy Lord has made a breakthrough in his cultivation and has the strength to deal with us, why is he still hiding? Could it be that what you said just now was all a lie? Were you just trying to scare us? Don't you think this method is a little childish?" Lame Yuan's series of questions left Ing Wudi speechless, not knowing how to answer. Although he was right, the Sacred Master disdained to make a move. But according to what Lame Yuan said, the Holy Lord did not show himself even after breaking through. It was as if he was afraid of the true, absolute beginning Devil Palace. Seeing that Ing Wudi was speechless, Lin Qingxuan and the others sighed, a hint of sadness appearing in their eyes. They were the same as Lame Yuan. If they had fought the dark demons to the death when facing the attack of the dark demons, they might not have ended up in their current state. A single misstep could lead to everlasting sorrow. One wrong step and the whole game would be lost. Ing Wudi cut the crap. If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't dare, then scram. After exchanging a few words with Ing Wudi, Lame Yuan did not waste time talking nonsense and directly urged Ing Wudi. Seeing Lame Yuan's domineering attitude, Ing Wudi's face turned green. He clenched his fists tightly and shouted, "Attack with full force. I want to see what you have to be so arrogant." Ing Wudi was very clear in his heart that if he did not give the order to attack, their morale would plummet. Not only that, but people would probably doubt the Holy Lord's breakthrough that he said earlier. Many people would think in their hearts that since the Holy Lord's cultivation had broken through, why didn't he personally destroy the true, absolute beginning Devil Palace? With the Holy Lord's strength that surpassed the great Emperor level, it seemed very easy to destroy the true, absolute beginning Devil Palace. Yes. Hearing Ing Wudi's order, Lin Qingxuan and the others responded and flew towards Lame Yuan and the others. Facing the attack of Lin Qingxuan and the others, Zhao Sun frowned and said, "Miss Lei, before our benefactor went into seclusion, he told us not to participate in the battle. If we fight with them now, Will it affect our benefactor's refinement of the divine weapon? Zhao Sun's worry was also thought of in Lei Yuan's heart. She said, I've also thought about this problem. However, in the current situation, it's not useful for us to retreat. If the Dark Devil race's Holy Lord really broke through, Ingwudi and the others will definitely come this time to launch an all-out attack. Since this battle is unavoidable, there's no reason for us to retreat. Why don't we take the initiative to start the battle? At least we'll have the upper hand in terms of morale. Hearing Lei Yuan's words, Zhao Sun nodded and felt that Lei Yuan's idea was not bad. Very soon, Lei Yuan and the others clashed. The battle immediately shook the surroundings. However, Ingwudi and the others had a few more sane emperors than Lei Yuan's side. As a result, Lei Yuan and the others were forced into a passive position against the attacks of Ingwudi and the others. After suppressing Lei Yuan and the others, Ingwudi sneered complacently and said, Lei Yuan, why hasn't Mo Qingyun come out yet? Don't tell me he's encountered some mishap and died in some crack in the ground? As soon as Ingwudi's words fell, he smirked coldly, his arrogance reaching its peak. Lei Yuan's expression did not change at all in response to Ingwudi's probing. She sneered and said, I've already told you that there's no need for Qingyun to come out to deal with you. We're enough. Before Ingwudi could say anything, Lei Yuan looked at Polar Ice and said, Palace Master Polar Ice, summon Xianyang, Lei Zhe, and the Ice Phoenix. Get them to come out and help us. Yes. Polar Ice returned to the True Demon Hall with a flash after hearing Lei Yuan's words. Ingwudi immediately became even more complacent when he saw Lei Yuan's actions. He smiled. Lei Yuan, have you forgotten two people? Where did Mo Qingyun and Enchun go? Aren't they the main force of the True Demon Hall? If the two of them don't come out, it doesn't matter how many of you come. Lei Yuan's smile deepened when she saw Ingwudi's shameless expression. She said, Isn't it a good thing that Qingyun and Enchun aren't attacking and let them live a little longer? As Lei Yuan and the others fought, two powerful auras radiated from the True Demon Hall. Soon after, the crowd saw two figures appear and quickly join the battle. What a powerful demon beast! This demon beast's strength seems to have surpassed the level of great emperors. I didn't expect the True Demon Hall to hide such a divine guardian beast. Lin Qingxuan and the others trembled when they sensed the Ice Phoenix's aura. Intense fear surged into their eyes. Then, Ingwudi and the others' expressions turned serious. They put away their previous contempt. End of chapter. Chapter 31:57. This Luai's Ice Phoenix's aura is about to break through the Emperor realm. Sensing the Luai's Ice Phoenix's aura, Ingwudi's expression shook. His eyes were filled with shock as he thought to himself, it hasn't appeared yet. Perhaps it's preparing to break through the Emperor realm? It's just that the situation is urgent right now. Lei Yuan had no choice but to let it out to resolve the crisis. This Luai's Ice Phoenix is like this. Enchun hasn't appeared yet. Is it also like this? Ingwudi's expression became serious as he thought of this. He felt a strong sense of unease. If that was the case, it definitely wasn't a good thing for the dark demons. If Enchun broke through, they wouldn't have the slightest advantage even if the Sacred Lord broke through. More importantly, if the stalemate continued and the Luai's Ice Phoenix broke through, the dark demons would be in a terrible situation. When Ingwudi thought of this, he felt a lingering fear. His expression became gloomy as he said, Mo Qingyun is really insidious. He actually hid such a trick. It seems that he suppressed his cultivation before in order to numb us. The more Ingwudi thought about it, the angrier his expression became. His killing intent became stronger and stronger. Of course, while Ingwudi was angry, he was more worried and uneasy. Originally, they thought that since the Sacred Lord had successfully broken through, there would be no pressure to kill Mo Qingyun. Now, it seemed that the situation wasn't so. There were many changes in the True Primordium Demon Hall. No, I have to go back and tell the Sacred Lord as soon as possible to kill Mo Qingyun and the others personally. Thinking that Chun and the others were about to break through to the sky general realm, Ingwudi felt a strong sense of unease. Immediately, Ingwudi's battle intent weakened a lot because of this. There was no helping it. Even if they tried their best, they couldn't suppress Lei Muin and the others. The Luai's Ice Phoenix was too strong. It had the upper hand even when fighting 1 against 2. The difference in strength was too great. Looking at the current situation, unless the Sacred Lord acted personally, no one could do anything to it. As Ingwudi and the others' battle intent weakened, the scales of victory began to lean toward the true Primordium Demon Hall. Seeing the situation slowly changing, Lin Qingxuan and the others were shocked. They didn't expect this result. At this moment, they finally understood why the true beginning Demon Hall refused to admit defeat. No wonder Hall Master Lei did not show any weakness. The true beginning Devil Palace is so strong. And this is because Mo Qingyun and Enchantment didn't attack. Otherwise, the situation would be even more different. What do we do now? If we continue fighting, I'm afraid we'll suffer a great loss. Witnessing the strength of the true, absolute beginning Devil Hall, Lin Qingxuan and the rest panicked. After suppressing Ingwudi and the others, Lei Muin said with a cold expression, "Ingwudi, you want to make us submit to you? Let the sacred leader do it herself." As Lei Muin's words fell, her attacks immediately became much fiercer. Immediately, Ingwudi and the others found themselves in an even worse situation. Retreat. Seeing his men retreating in defeat, Wu Diying did not dare to hesitate and immediately retreated with his men. When Ingwudi and the others retreated, Lei Muin and the others did not pursue them. Instead, they led their disciples back into the sect. Now is not the time for the decisive battle. There was not much meaning in pursuing Ingwudi and the rest. Moreover, Lei Muin and the rest were also worried that this was Ingwudi's trajectory. If they pursued, the sacred leader and the rest would have long laid an ambush, waiting for them to take the bait. Although their strength was not weak, facing a Heaven General Realm powerhouse was still not an easy thing. Let the injured disciples heal. The others increase their defenses. Lei Muin returned to the true beginning Devil Hall. After she finished instructing some disciples, she walked toward the assembly hall. Seeing Lei Muin's actions, everyone followed closely and arrived at the assembly hall together. However, the Thunderpool Ice Phoenix did not follow and returned directly to the Jade Fall Frost Pool. Its main mission now was to condense the law threads and break through to the Heaven General Realm. Entering the assembly hall, everyone's expression was tense, waiting for Lei Muin's instructions. Under everyone's gaze, Lei Muin's face was tense. I'm sure everyone knows that the sacred leader's cultivation has broken through. This is definitely not a good thing for us. The sacred leader did not come personally this time, but he will definitely come next time. Whether it's Qing Yun refining the Nine-Bull Divine Sword or Chun breaking through to the Heaven General Realm, they both need time. We must buy them time. Zhao Sun's and the others nodded at Lei Muin's instructions. After explaining the current situation, Lei Muin didn't stop talking. She continued, "Based on the current situation, it will take at most 3 days for the Dark Demon Race's Holy Lord to arrive. If Qing Yun has not succeeded in 3 days, we must buy time for Qing Yun and the others at all costs." When Lei Muin said this, a strong look of determination appeared on her face. After hearing Lei Muin's words, the others also looked determined, as if they were facing death with equanimity. In their opinion, if Mo Qingyun failed, they would not be able to live either. Seeing everyone's reaction, Lei Muin nodded in satisfaction. This was the worst outcome. In Mo Qingyun's residence. With Yin Luo's help, Mo Qingyun's refining of a Nine-Bull Divine Sword became much easier. Yin Luo would make up for some of the omissions, avoiding many potential problems. Based on this trend, we will be able to finish refining in at most 3 days. Looking at the refining progress, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and calculated the time in his heart. Following that, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with anticipation. As long as the nine-bull divine sword was refined, even if the sacred lord's cultivation had broken through, he would not have the slightest fear. Looking at Mo Qingyun's performance, Yin Luo smiled and said, "Young palace master, you don't have to be too worried. Even if the sacred lord has broken through, he has only just entered the heaven general realm. If it really doesn't work, I will use the sword Great Tao Origin to kill him. I don't believe he is stronger than the Dragon Claw Blazing Sun Leopard." Hearing Yin Luo's words, Mo Qingyun was first stunned, then he smiled in agreement. Yin Luo was right. If it really reached that stage, he would use the sword Great Tao Origin to kill him. Then, Mo Qingyun did not think too much and focused on refining the nine-bull divine sword. In the following period of time, everything in the true absolute beginning demon hall was very peaceful. Lin Qingxuan and the others did not invade again. However, it was this kind of peace that made everyone feel a little depressed. They were very clear that a storm was coming. 3 days passed very quickly. Just as Lei Muan guessed, Ing Wudi and the others had indeed come. This time, the lineup of Ing Wudi and the others was clearly much stronger than before. Sensing the arrival of Ing Wudi and the others, Lei Muan and the others' expressions were tense as they went up to them. Chapter 31:58. Facing off against Ing Wudi and the rest, Lei Muan and the rest immediately tensed up. They could clearly sense how terrifying the aura of the person in front of Ing Wudi and the rest was. Is this the sacred leader? His aura is indeed powerful. It's not something a great emperor can compare to. No matter how strong he is, we can't back down. We must stall for time for Qingyun. Looking at the sacred leader, Lei Muan and the rest tensed up. Determination filled their eyes. Standing above the true Alpha Demon Hall and looking down at Lei Muan and the rest, Ing Wudi sneered. "Lei Muan, at this point, do you still want to resist?" Hearing Ing Wudi's smug words, Lei Muan said proudly, "The disciples of the true Alpha Demon Hall only fight to the death. No one begs for mercy in lives." After Lei Muan said that, Zhao Sun's and the rest raised their heads, looking like they were facing death calmly. Looking at Lei Muan and the rest performance, Lin Qingxuan and the rest felt ashamed. When facing Ing Wudi and the rest, the gap between them and Lei Muan and the rest was too big. If they had any pride back then, they wouldn't have ended up like this. Stubborn and overestimating yourself. Seeing Lei Muan's performance, the sacred leader snorted and pressed down on Lei Muan. Under the sacred leader's attack, the sky changed color instantly. The power of laws gathered wildly. Very soon, a 1-meter-long line of laws as thick as a thumb formed in front of the sacred leader. Once the line of laws was formed, it turned into a stream of light and blasted toward Lei Muan. "Miss Lei, be careful. This is a line of laws. Back off quickly." Seeing the sacred leader's attack, Zhao Sun's was shocked and immediately reminded Lei Muan. When Zhao Sun's reminded her, he also moved and appeared in front of Lei Muan. "Break!" Shielding Lei Muan behind him, Zhao Sun's clenched his fist and punched forward. When Zhao Sun's made his move, nomological power gathered frantically around his body. Soon, a half-meter-long, faintly discernible ray of light as thick as a thumb formed in front of Zhao Sun's. The illusory light formed and collided with the Divine Lord's nomological thread. Interesting. The Sacred Master's expression changed slightly when he saw Zhao Sun's attack. Surprise flashed through his eyes. "I never thought that there would be someone in the true Primordium Demon Hall who is cultivated to such a level. If he cultivated for another decade or so, he really might be able to break through the limits of Emperor." Hearing the sacred leader's words, Ing Wudi and the others were shocked. The way they looked at Zhao Sun's changed greatly. Originally, they thought that the Thunder Lake Ice Phoenix and in Dawn were the only ones who were about to break through to the Emperor realm. Who would have thought that Zhao Sun's had also reached such a level? Chi. The two nomological threads collided. The illusory nomological thread that Zhao Sun's blasted out was immediately blasted apart. Before long, the nomological thread that Zhao Sun's blasted out dissipated in midair, while the nomological thread that the sacred leader blasted out was not reduced in momentum, blasting toward Zhao Sun's. However, under the obstruction of Zhao Sun's nomological thread, the sacred leader's nomological thread also shrunk a little. It was just that this degree of shrinking was very limited and could be ignored. Pucci. The nomological thread's speed was extremely fast. Without waiting for Zhao Sun's to dodge, it pierced into his body. Being bombarded by the nomological thread, Zhao Sun's was immediately blasted flying. A hideous wound appeared on his chest. Looking closely, one would discover that there was a fist-sized hole in Zhao Sun's chest, directly piercing through his body. "Brother Zhao, how are you?" Seeing Zhao Sun's appearance, Xianyang and the rest were greatly alarmed, all asking nervously. With Zhao Sun's powerful strength, he actually could not withstand one move from the sacred leader. Was the disparity between the two so great? Hearing Xianyang's question, the expressions of Lame Yuan and the rest also tensed up. The sacred leader's combat strength was not on the same level as theirs. It was not something that could be achieved with numbers. This person is really too strong. We can't block him at all. After witnessing the sacred leader's strength, the Luai's Ice Phoenix came to Lame Yuan's side and said nervously. He originally thought that he and Zhao Sun's should be able to block the sacred leader for a while if they joined forces. But now, it seemed that he was completely wrong. After sending Zhao Sun's flying, the sacred leader smiled faintly and shook his head. Although you have some foundation in condensing nomological laws, your nomological laws are not pure enough. Therefore, you can't fully unleash its power. It's a pity. The sacred leader did not know that the nomological laws that Zhao Sun's condensed were not completely from the star domain realm. Most of the nomological laws in his nomological thread were from the heaven realm. Therefore, the nomological law threads that he condensed were not pure enough and could not fully unleash its power. After lecturing Zhao Sun's, the sacred leader looked at Lame Yuan and the rest and said, "Who else wants to fight? I don't mind giving you a few pointers." Lame Yuan and the rest tensed up when they heard the sacred leader's words. They were all deeply worried. Seeing that Lame Yuan and the rest did not reply, the sacred leader smiled faintly and said, "Since none of you are speaking, I won't waste any more time." As soon as the Holy Lord finished speaking, he raised his hand and reached out to grab Lame Yuan. Seeing the sacred leader's action, the Luai's Ice Phoenix shrieked and flew in front of Lame Yuan. When the Luai's Ice Phoenix made its move, a powerful nomological law power exploded from its body. It's even stronger and purer than his nomological laws. The sacred leader was shocked when he sensed the Luai's Ice Phoenix's nomological laws. The smile on his face deepened, and he said, "All right, I'll play with you for a while more before going to capture Mo Qingyun's woman." Lame Yuan's face tensed up when she saw the sacred leader's action. She thought to herself, "This can't go on. We'll be annihilated one by one sooner or later. I wonder how Qingyun is now." Boom! Just as Lame Yuan was worrying, the Luai's Ice Phoenix was sent flying. The Luai's Ice Phoenix was sent flying. Its wings started to crumble, and its back became a bloody mess. From the looks of it, it probably couldn't fight anymore. After sending the Luai's Ice Phoenix flying again, the sacred leader looked at Lame Yuan and smiled. "I like to see who else can stop me." Clang! As soon as the sacred leader finished speaking, a dazzling light exploded from the true absolute beginning demon hall. When this ray of light burst out, it directly rushed into the clouds, erupting with a terrifying aura. The sacred leader and the rest were shocked when they saw this. They looked at the true absolute beginning demon hall curiously. Could a treasure have been unearthed from the true absolute beginning demon hall? Compared to the sacred leader and the rest's shock, Lame Yuan and the rest were pleasantly surprised. They knew what had happened. If nothing went wrong, Mo Qingyun should have succeeded in refining the divine sort of nine bulls. Chapter 31:59. Roar. The light shot into the sky and quickly turned into a demon shadow, letting out a deafening roar. As the demonic shadow roared at the sky, rays of light with astonishing auras began to condense around its body. These are nomological law threads. Seeing the nomological law threads around the demon shadow's body, Zhao Suns and the others were shocked and excited. Judging from a situation before them, the divine nine-bull sword that Mo Qingyun had refined was terrifyingly powerful. Compared to Lei Muin and the others who were pleasantly surprised, the dark demon race's troops all had solemn expressions. The current situation wasn't a good thing for them. The true absolute beginning Devil Palace had produced a powerful divine weapon. If they wanted to destroy the true absolute beginning Devil Palace, it would not be an easy task. Capture Lei Muin first, then use her to force Mo Qingyun to hand over the divine sword. The sacred leader's heart skipped a beat. His figure flashed, and he charged toward Lei Muin. Seeing the sacred leader attack Lei Muin again, Xianyang and the others were shocked. They immediately surrounded Lei Muin. They knew very well that Lei Muin couldn't be captured. Otherwise, Mo Qingyun would be restrained when fighting the sacred leader. Miss Lei retreat. Hall Master, go find Mr. Mo. We'll stop him. They reminded Lei Muin when the others blocked the attack for Lei Muin. Hearing their words, Lei Muin gritted her teeth and retreated into the true Alpha Demon Hall. Seeing that Lei Muin was about to escape, the sacred leader's face darkened. He shouted angrily, "You want to stop me? All of you die." The sacred leader shouted angrily. He raised his hand and gathered a terrifying nomological law power. Soon, a huge palm blasted out from the sacred leader's hand and crushed down on Xianyang and the others. Facing the sacred leader's attack, Xianyang and the others didn't retreat at all. They were fearless. Boom! The huge palm landed with a loud explosion and set off a terrifying energy storm. When the energy storm was set off, Xianyang and the others were sent flying, crashing toward the ground. Boom! Boom! Xianyang and the others smashed into the ground, creating huge craters as deafening booms rang out. Then, a cloud of dust rose from the ground and swallowed them up. The sacred leader didn't stop after sending Xianyang and the others flying. He continued to attack toward Lei Muin. Lei Muin was also very fast. Before the sacred leader could catch up to her, she had returned to the true Alpha Demon Hall. You can't escape. Seeing that Lei Muin had escaped, the sacred master roared in anger and slammed his palm towards the sect protecting Grand Formation. Under the sacred leader's palm strike, the sect protecting Grand Array immediately shook as if it was unable to withstand the force of the palm strike. Boom! The sect protecting formation trembled for a moment before collapsing, revealing the true absolute beginning Devil Palace. When the sacred master saw Lei Muin after destroying the sect protecting formation with a single palm strike, he chased after her with a cold smile on his face. The sacred leader was extremely fast. Lei Muin couldn't compare to him at all. Soon, the distance between Lei Muin and the sacred leader was shortened. Don't put up any unnecessary resistance. You can't escape from me. As soon as the sacred leader finished speaking, he grabbed forward with his palm and blasted out a huge palm shadow. Then, the palm shadow landed on Lei Muin as though he wanted to capture her personally. Just as Lei Muin was about to be captured by the huge palm, a sword light slashed across the sky. Under the bombardment of the sword light, the giant palm was instantly split apart and dispersed in midair. Seeing this scene, the sacred leader's expression changed. He looked at the source of the sword light with shock. While the sacred leader was in a daze, a figure flashed by and brought Lei Muin to the side. Qingyun, you finished refining the divine sword? Lei Muin was pleasantly surprised after being brought to the side by Mo Qingyun. She immediately asked Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun nodded at Lei Muin's question. Why are you so silly? Why didn't you ask me for help? What would I do if something happened to you? Lei Muin's face lit up at Mo Qingyun's words of concern. She smiled brightly. I was worried that I would disturb you and affect your refining of the divine weapon. You wouldn't. Mo Qingyun shook his head. I can refine the divine weapon myself. It'll be easier for me if Yun Luo helps me. If I knew you were in danger, I would have let Yun Luo out long ago. Although the sacred leader is powerful, I can easily kill him if I use my trump card. It's my fault. I forgot to tell you about this. Lei Yuan smiled sweetly at Mo Qingyun's words. She didn't seem to care at all. Let's not talk about this now. Since the divine sword has been successfully refined, everything else is no longer a problem. Mo Qingyun nodded. He turned to look at the sacred leader. His eyes were cold. Under Mo Qingyun's gaze, the sacred leader's face turned cold. She looked at the divine sword of 9 bulls and said, I never thought that you would have such a divine weapon. However, with your cultivation, I'm afraid you can't unleash its full power. Why don't you give it to me? Mo Qingyun chuckled at the sacred leader's words. He curled his lips in disdain and said, You want what I have? Do you have the ability? I was just thinking about whose blood I should use as a sacrifice for the divine sword of 9 bulls. You came at the right time. Using the blood of a heaven general realm expert as a sacrifice for the sword should be a good idea. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed as he charged towards the sacred master. When Mo Qingyun charged at the sacred leader, he also instructed Yun Luo, protect Mu Wan and the others. If anyone dares to attack, use your trump card to kill them. Yun Luo nodded at Mo Qingyun's instructions. Now that Mo Qingyun had the 100 battle sky splitting armor, he was no longer afraid of the dragon claw scorching sun leopard. Her trump card was no longer useful. Yun Luo did not hesitate and immediately went to Lei Yuan's side after hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions. Then, she went with Lei Yuan to check on Xianyang and the others. While Yun Luo were rescuing Xianyang and the others, Mo Qingyun was fighting with the sacred leader. He was not at a disadvantage. Ing Wudi and the others were shocked when they saw Mo Qingyun's performance. Their eyes widened. How is this possible? Mo Qingyun can actually fight the sacred leader head-on. This kid is too monstrous. He has actually grown to this extent. Although Mo Qingyun is strong, the main reason why he can fight the sacred leader is because of his sword. His sword seems to be the divine sword of 9 bulls. It wasn't that powerful before. He hasn't appeared for so long. Could it be that he has been refining the divine sword of 9 bulls all this time? Lin Qingxuan and the others were even more shocked after they spoke a few words. If they guessed correctly, Mo Qingyun's ability was too terrifying. The power displayed by the divine sword of 9 bulls had obviously surpassed the level of an emperor weapon. It had reached a higher level. If Mo Qingyun could refine such a divine weapon, how terrifying was his refining ability? Chapter 3160. Roar. With a wave of the 9-bull divine sword, the huge demon shadow roared and charged at the sacred leader. When the demon shadow attacked, a terrifying power of laws exploded from its body. A faint smile appeared at the corner of Mo Qingyun's lips as he watched the demon shadow lunge out. Although the improvement of the divine sword of 9 bulls is somewhat different from what I expected, being able to summon an artifact spirit comparable to a heaven general is still a pretty good result. Originally, Mo Qingyun thought that the 9-bull divine sword would be able to break through the power of laws after being tempered again. He did not expect that the 9-bull divine sword would be able to summon an artifact spirit to fight. Previously, he had searched for the heavenly general concept origin to turn it into an artifact spirit so that he could summon it to help him in battle. It's just an artifact spirit. No matter how strong it is, it won't change the result. The sacred master snorted as he watched the demonic shadow charge towards him. Disdain filled his eyes as he said, "Once I kill you, I won't have to worry about this weapon's spirit anymore. Then, the sword in your hand will belong to me." The sacred leader roared angrily and threw out a palm strike. His palm energy gathered rapidly. Soon, a palm shadow wrapped in the power of laws flew toward the demon shadow. In the face of the sacred leader's attack, Yaoing didn't retreat at all. Instead, he threw a punch at Yaoing. Boom! The demon shadow's fist hit the palm shadow, and there was a loud explosion, creating a terrifying energy storm. When the energy storm formed, it shattered the space and a huge crack appeared. Seeing the crack in space, Mo Qingyun and the sacred leader quickly retreated to avoid being swallowed by the crack. However, as the sacred leader retreated, he approached Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun did not care about the sacred leader's approach, and a playful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The sacred leader wanted to attack him, but he was afraid that he would be disappointed. The sacred leader did not know what Mo Qingyun was thinking. When he arrived in front of Mo Qingyun, he sneered proudly and said, "Mph, a junior who has just become a great emperor wants to fight with me? You're overestimating yourself." As soon as the holy master finished speaking, he sent out a palm strike towards Mo Qingyun. Soon, a giant palm with an imposing aura came crashing down on Mo Qingyun. Facing the sacred master's attack, Mo Qingyun didn't retreat at all. Instead, he revealed a faint smile and took out his 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor. As the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor was summoned, an even stronger aura erupted from his body. Then, Mo Qingyun was enveloped by the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor and protected him. Boom! When the huge palm landed on the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor, it immediately created a loud sound and a powerful energy storm. When this energy storm was formed, a sharp light exploded from the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor. The speed of this beam of light was extremely fast. Before the sacred leader could react, it had already blasted onto his body. Puff! The sacred leader immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face became extremely pale. Seeing that the Holy Lord was injured, Ingwudi and the others were shocked, their eyes wide open. Holy Lord is injured. How is this possible? How could Mo Qingyun injure him? I must have seen wrongly. Mo Qingyun has actually grown to such an extent. This is unbelievable. Lin Qingxuan and the others were also shocked. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had sent the sacred leader flying, Lei Muan's pretty face lit up. She said in shock, "Yin Luo, did I see wrongly? Qingyun sent the sacred leader flying and severely injured him?" Hearing Lei Muan's words, Yin Luo smiled faintly and nodded. She said, "You didn't see wrongly." The sacred leader attacked the young palace master and was hit by the young palace master's 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor. The young palace master's 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor is a divine armor of the divine realm. How could someone who has just entered the heavenly general realm hurt the young palace master? After hearing Yin Luo's words, Lei Muan and the others had a look of understanding on their faces. At the same time, the worry in his heart lessened. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the sacred leader stabilized his body and looked at Mo Qingyun in shock. He said, "What a powerful divine armor. Not only did it block my full force attack, but it also reflected a portion of the attack back to me. Kid, you're bringing me more and more surprises. I didn't expect that you would prepare such a big gift for me the moment I came out of seclusion. I want all the divine weapons and divine armors you have. Let me show them to you," said Yi Fuqian. After the sacred leader finished speaking, he charged towards Mo Qingyun again. He didn't panic at all because he was injured. On the contrary, the sacred leader's expression was filled with excitement and greed. Looking at his expression, it was as if Mo Qingyun's divine 9-bull sword and 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor had already become his possessions. "I'm just afraid that the surprise will turn into shock. Your heart won't be able to accept it." Looking at the sacred leader who was charging towards him, Mo Qingyun's lips curled up. There wasn't the slightest trace of fear on his face. After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed, and he charged towards the sacred leader. When Mo Qingyun charged towards the sacred leader, he waved the divine 9-bull sword again and summoned the artifact spirit to fight with the sacred leader. With the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor's defense, Mo Qingyun wasn't afraid of being injured at all. Every time he attacked, he would exchange his life for the sacred leader's. Mo Qingyun wasn't afraid of being injured, but the sacred leader wasn't. Under Mo Qingyun's crazy attacks, the sacred leader was in an extremely sorry state. His expression was tense as he dodged. However, under the entanglement of the ancient demon artifact spirit, it wasn't easy for him to dodge. Shortly after, everyone saw that the sacred master had fallen into a state of being suppressed by Mo Qingyun's overbearing attacks. Damn kid, you actually have such a powerful divine weapon and divine armor. Under Mo Qingyun's attacks, the sacred leader was forced into a passive state. His face was as black as ink. Now, when he looked at the divine nine-bowl sword and 100 battle heaven splitting armor, he no longer felt surprised. These two divine weapons were too powerful. With Mo Qingyun in his hands, the sacred leader couldn't hurt Mo Qingyun at all. Because of the two divine weapons, the sacred leader, an expert who had surpassed the Great Emperor realm, was suppressed by a junior who had just entered the Great Emperor realm. This was a great humiliation to the sacred leader. What made his head hurt even more was that Mo Qingyun would take his attacks head-on every time, causing him to suffer a certain amount of backlash damage. After accumulating over and over again, the sacred leader's injuries became more and more serious, causing his fighting strength to drop. This can't go on. I have to think of a way. Sensing his own situation, the sacred leader's expression became tense. A sense of anxiety rose in his heart. Seeing the sacred leader's reaction, the smile on Mo Qingyun's face became wider. He said, "Do you still think that I brought you a surprise?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, the sacred leader's face darkened. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, don't be too arrogant. You must have exhausted a lot of your energy by using the divine weapon and divine armor to fight. I don't believe that you can last forever. When you've exhausted your energy, it'll be the time for me to kill you." After the sacred leader finished speaking, he didn't attack fiercely anymore. Instead, he tangled with Mo Qingyun. He seemed to want to exhaust Mo Qingyun. When Mo Qingyun's energy was exhausted, he would capture Mo Qingyun in one fell swoop. Chapter 3161. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed again once I've used up all my power. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly when he heard the sacred leader's words. He didn't explain too much. He really wanted to see how the sacred leader would react when he was still full of energy, even after the sacred leader had used up all his power. The sacred master snorted in response to Mo Qingyun's words. He didn't pay any attention to Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun didn't waste any more words with the sacred leader since he didn't say anything. His attacks became even more ferocious. The sacred leader's situation worsened as he faced Mo Qingyun's aggressive attacks. He fell into a perilous situation. How is this possible? The sacred leader has been suppressed the entire time. Mo Qingyun is far too strange. Is this his true strength? This guy hit it so well. He didn't show it at all. We were all wrong. We shouldn't have doubted Mo Qingyun. Lin Qingxuan and the others were filled with regret when they saw Mo Qingyun's actions. They felt intense regret. If they had been like Zhou Jing and discovered that something was wrong with Ing Wudi and went to discuss it with Mo Qingyun, they wouldn't have ended up like this. Unfortunately, there was no point in regretting. It was all too late. Looks like the situation has stabilized. The danger of the true demon hall has been resolved. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was suppressing the Holy Lord, Lei Muin's beautiful face relaxed, and her hanging heart finally relaxed. Yun Luo's face darkened slightly when she heard Lei Muin's words. She showed some displeasure and said, "If it weren't for the young palace master stopping me, I could have used the origin of the way of the sword and killed the sacred leader instantly. We wouldn't have had to go through so much trouble." Zhao Sun's and the others were speechless when they heard that. They had no idea what to say. As it turned out, Miss Yun Luo was the truly terrifying existence. Lei Muin smiled faintly when she heard Yun Luo's words. Qingyun's cultivation has just broken through recently. He needs a sparring partner. The sacred leader is more suitable. It's good to let him spar with you. That's true. Yin Luo nodded in agreement with Lei Yuan's opinion. Rather than killing the sacred leader in one strike, it would be better to let him fight with Mo Qingyun and let Mo Qingyun familiarize himself with his combat strength. As Mo Qingyun fought with the sacred master, he became more and more familiar with controlling his own strength. Not only that, but Mo Qingyun had also used his nomological laws bit by bit during his fight with the sacred master. Originally, Mo Qingyun was already suppressing the holy master. Now that he had activated the power of the laws and displayed an even stronger strength, he quickly suppressed the holy master. Law threads. When this brat fought with me, he actually tried to condense law threads. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, the sacred leader was scared out of his wits, and a terrified expression appeared on his face. At this moment, he was no longer as calm as before. All that was left was endless panic. If this continued, he would probably be slaughtered by Mo Qingyun before Mo Qingyun exhausted his strength. I can't let this drag on any longer. I have to think of a way to change the situation. The more the sacred leader thought about it, the more anxious he became. He glanced at Ingwudi and the others and immediately urged them. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and deal with Lei Yuan and the others. Take advantage of the fact that they are injured and capture Lei Yuan for me. Ingwudi and the others trembled when they heard the sacred leader's urging words. They felt a strong sense of unease. They could tell that the sacred leader was panicking. It seemed like the situation wasn't quite right. Are you afraid? Seeing the sacred leader's reaction, Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a faint smile. The sacred leader wanted Ingwudi and the others to capture Lei Yuan and the others, but his idea was probably going to fall through. With Yin Luo there, how could she let them have their way? Humph! The sacred leader snorted coldly when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. Other than Lei Yuan and that girl, the others are all defeated. How can they withstand the attacks of Ingwudi and the others? Understanding the sacred leader's thoughts, Mo Qingyun also argued with him. The answer was soon revealed. If Yin Luo didn't have a trump card, Lei Yuan and the others would indeed be in trouble when faced with the attacks of Ingwudi and the others. Unfortunately, not only did Yin Luo have a trump card, but it was also a very terrifying one. Boom! When Ingwudi and the others attacked, a shocking aura suddenly erupted from the true Primordium Demon Hall. Everyone was shocked when they sensed the aura. They turned to look at the source of the aura. Not good. Someone in the true Primordium Demon Hall has broken through the limits of a great emperor. The sacred leader had just broken through the limits of a great emperor, so he felt a strong sense of familiarity with this aura. Therefore, when he sensed the aura, he knew what was going on. The panic in the sacred leader's heart became even stronger when he learned of the situation. Mo Qingyun curled his lips slightly when he saw the sacred leader's expression change. He smiled and said, "Looks like you're very unlucky. And Shen's cultivation has broken through. Ingwudi and the others won't have a chance to attack Mu Wan and the others." The sacred leader's expression changed when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He was so angry that his veins popped out. He had miscalculated this time. He had seriously underestimated the strength of the true Primordium Demon Hall. What a powerful aura. It's even stronger than the sacred leaders. And Chun has broken through. He's also broken through the limits of a great emperor. We're in big trouble. Lin Qingxuan and the others trembled when they sensed Chen's aura. Their faces instantly paled. They hadn't expected Chun to break through at this time. Mo Qingyun alone was already too much for the sacred leader to handle. If Chen joined in, the consequences would be obvious. Ingwudi clenched his teeth in anger when he saw Chun approaching quickly. He said, "Why is it like this? Why didn't he break through earlier or later? Why did he break through now?" In his opinion, if Chun had broken through earlier, they wouldn't have come to the true Primordium Demon Hall. If Chun had broken through later, it would have been too late for him to come by the time they captured Lei Yuan. Chun, you've broken through. and Shun has broken through the limits of a great emperor. The dark demons are finished. This is so satisfying. Good news comes one after another. Victory is in our hands. Zhao Sun's and the others were overjoyed when they saw Shun. They were all excited, and Shun didn't respond to Zhao Sun's and the others' surprise. He pointed at Lei Muan and said, "Mistress, retreat to the side and recover. I'll take care of these people." "Okay." Lei Muan nodded and retreated with Zhao Sun's and the others. As soon as Enchun finished speaking, he moved and charged toward Wudi and the others. When Enchun moved, a terrifying aura exploded from his body. Then, Enchun threw out a palm. It formed a black door of light and enveloped Wudi and the others. Wudi and the others paled when they saw Enchun's attack. They didn't dare to fight him head-on. Then, they hurriedly retreated to avoid Enchun's attack. Unfortunately, the speed of the dark door was too fast. Before they could escape far, they were already trapped inside. Chapter 3162. Oh no, Wudi and the others are trapped. The situation is not good. The sacred leader's body trembled when he saw that Wudi and the others were trapped. Panic flashed through his eyes. If Wudi and the others were killed, Enchun would definitely come to Mo Qingyun's aid. It would be difficult to escape then. The situation has changed. We have to leave immediately. The sacred leader didn't dare delay any longer after understanding his situation. He immediately turned around and fled for his life. Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold when he saw that the sacred leader wanted to escape. "I originally wanted to play with you a little longer to get used to my combat strength. Since you are not willing to continue fighting, I can only send you on your way." As soon as Mo Qingyun said that, the aura he exuded immediately rose by a level. At the same time, a 100-meter-long pillar of light condensed in front of Mo Qingyun. This is a nomological law thread. The sacred leader trembled when he saw the pillar of light in front of Mo Qingyun. His eyes were filled with fear. They were both nomological law threads. Why was Mo Qingyun's so thick? Also, could the pillar of light in front of Mo Qingyun still be considered a nomological law thread? More importantly, Mo Qingyun had just become a great emperor. How could he condense nomological law threads with such a cultivation base? No, this is impossible. This can't be real. The sacred leader was shocked when he saw Mo Qingyun's nomological law threads. He couldn't accept this fact. Mo Qingyun snorted coldly in response to the sacred leader's shock. "Nothing is impossible. The reason you think it's impossible is because your knowledge is shallow. Having a high cultivation base doesn't mean that your combat strength is strong. The reason you think you are invincible is because you are a frog in a well." The sacred leader's face twitched when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He felt extremely sullen. How could he have known that a heretic like Mo Qingyun had appeared? If Mo Qingyun hadn't appeared, who would have been able to contend with him? After mocking the sacred master a few times, Mo Qingyun grabbed him with his palm, controlling the nomological threads to cover him. With a wave of Mo Qingyun's hand, the law thread quickly split into several smaller law threads. His law threads can actually divide. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, the sacred leader was shocked again, and his face became even paler. It was already extremely difficult for him to condense law threads. Who would have thought that Mo Qingyun would actually be able to divide people? This was another step further than him. Who is this kid? How can he be so monstrous? At this moment, the sacred leader's heart was filled with confusion. He began to doubt his own cultivation. He felt that he must have made a mistake somewhere. Otherwise, how could he say that there was such a gap between him and Mo Qingyun? Under the sacred leader's shocked gaze, the nomological threads quickly split up and formed a large net that covered him. Facing the nomological threads, the sacred leader's escape route was immediately blocked, and Mo Qingyun caught up to him. As Mo Qingyun chased after the sacred leader, A two-winged sacred power Pegasus quickly condensed under his feet. Mo Qingyun rode the sacred power Pegasus, and his movement speed instantly increased by a level. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times, and he arrived in front of the sacred leader. Your speed is far inferior to mine. If you want to escape from me, I advise you to stop dreaming. Fight me to your heart's content. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the sacred leader's face was as black as ink, and the panic in his eyes intensified. The law threads were not as condensed as Mo Qingyun's, and their speed was not as fast as Mo Qingyun's. He was really at his wit's end. What made him even more distressed was that without a matching combat power, what was the use of having a high cultivation level? When Mo Qingyun intercepted the sacred lord, a series of miserable shrieks rang out from nearby. Hearing the screams, the sacred leader's body trembled, and he turned to look at the black light door. He saw that Ingwudi and the others, who were trapped, were all in pain, and their bodies were shriveling little by little. Looking at them, it seemed that some kind of overbearing force had forcefully sucked out their saint power and blood. No, I don't want to die. Save me, sacred leader. Mo. Young Master Mo, we were wrong. Please spare us this once. We were wrong. We were all wrong. That's good. This way we can be free. Under the sacred leader's observation, screams came one after another from the black light door. Before long, the people enveloped by the black light door had all lost their ability to fight. After crippling Ingwudi and the others, Enchen's figure flashed, and he flew toward the sacred leader. Seeing Enchan approach, the sacred leader's face turned even uglier, and the panic in his eyes intensified. The situation that he was most worried about had finally happened. Enchan, don't attack first. Let me spar with you. Seeing Enchan approaching, Mo Qingyun instructed him before launching an attack on the Holy Lord. The sacred leader was not strong, and he was a difficult sparring partner. It would be a pity to kill him immediately. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the sacred leader was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. His eyes were fierce, and he gritted his teeth. Mo Qingyun had gone too far. He was really treating the sacred leader as a sparring partner. Ignoring the sacred leader's anger, Mo Qingyun charged toward him after instructing Enchan. Mo Qingyun's figure moved, and a surge of violent, lightning energy exploded from his body. There is also a faint light surrounding these lightning bolts, which made the power of the lightning bolts even stronger. These light rays were naturally the precept threads. At this moment, Mo Qingyun did not use the nine-bull divine sword when he attacked. He only wanted to use his own battle strength to fight the sacred leader. Only then could he gain more. Of course, he still activated the 100 battle sky splitting armor to ensure Mo Qingyun's safety. No matter what, the sacred leader was a heaven general realm elite. It would be fatal to be careless when fighting with him. Kid, you've gone too far. It won't do you any good if you force me into a corner. Facing Mo Qingyun's powerful attack, the sacred leader was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He was extremely aggrieved. He did not expect that he would still be bullied like this after breaking through to the peak emperor realm. So what if I've gone too far? Mo Qingyun did not care about the sacred leader's anger at all. He asked coldly, even if I've gone too far, at least I've done it openly. I'm not like you scoundrels who only know how to play tricks behind my back. Of course, if you hadn't played tricks, I might not have cared about you and left you out. It's good that you've taken the initiative to jump out. You can completely resolve the enmity between me and the dark demon race. The sacred leader's expression changed slightly when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He said in a slightly submissive tone, Mo Qingyun, everything that happened before was done by the plant bloodline. Our bloodline has no enmity with you. Can you give me a chance to make up for it? After fighting with Mo Qingyun for so long, the sacred leader realized that it was impossible for him to escape. His only chance of survival was to beg Mo Qingyun for mercy and beg Mo Qingyun to give him a chance to make up for it. Chapter 3163. Would you have spared us if we weren't as strong as you? Mo Qingyun sneered when he heard the sacred master's words. He shot him a disdainful look and said, "When the dark demon race killed Han Yin, I swore that I would exterminate the dark demon race. I don't care which branch of the dark demon race you are from. As long as you're a member of the dark demon race, I won't spare you." Mo Qingyun's attacks became even fiercer after he said that. The sacred master lost all hope of begging for mercy when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. "Am I really going to die here today? No, I definitely won't die here." The sacred master panicked when he saw that there was no hope of saving his life. His state of mind had completely collapsed. Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold as he looked at the sacred lord, whose mentality had collapsed. "If you really want to blame someone, you should blame Ingwudi. If he hadn't framed me, I wouldn't have noticed you. It was Ingwudi who exposed you. I suddenly discovered that the dark demon race still had your branch." The sacred master's face darkened when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He was furious. That useless fellow. Not only did he kill the Blood Kaiser, but he also harmed our branch. The sacred master suddenly realized that the fall of the dark demon race was directly related to Ingwudi. "I've said so much to you. It's time to send you on your way." Mo Qingyun didn't waste any more words with the sacred master. Instead, he attacked even more fiercely. A terrifying bloodline power erupted from Mo Qingyun's body as he attacked. As Mo Qingyun activated his bloodline power, the sacred master was shocked to discover that his bloodline power was strongly suppressed. What? What a powerful bloodline power. What exactly is this fellow's bloodline? Sensing that his bloodline was being suppressed by a bloodline power, the sacred lord's face was filled with shock. His bloodline was a fusion of 100,000 different bloodlines, yet he still couldn't compare to Mo Qingyun. From this, one could see just how powerful Mo Qingyun's bloodline was. This discovery really shocked him quite a bit. Sky-shattering Tyrannosaurus Fist. After activating the purple crystal thunder dragon bloodline, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he threw a punch at the sacred master. His fist, which was wrapped in the threads of law, left behind a purple afterimage as it blasted towards the sacred lord's chest. Holy blood shadow palm. Facing Mo Qingyun's fist, sacred leader did not wait for death. He used all his strength to block it. As the sacred master struck out with his palm, a surge of bloodline power erupted from his body. Then, a dazzling blood-red light exploded from the sacred leader's palm and collided with Mo Qingyun's fist. Bang! Kacha! When Mo Qingyun's fist collided with the Saint Lord's palm, there was a series of explosions and a shocking wave of saint power. When these sounds were heard, the sacred master's palm was bent into an irregular shape. After breaking the sacred master's finger with one punch, Mo Qingyun's fist did not stop, and he continued to attack the sacred master. Bang! Soon, Mo Qingyun's fist hit the sacred master and sent him flying. After being hit by Mo Qingyun's fist, the sacred master immediately spat out blood, and his face turned pale. The sacred master flew back for 10,000 meters before he could stabilize his body. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. This guy has the protection of the divine armor. I can't hurt him at all. I'll only be at a disadvantage if I fight him head-on. The sacred master stabilized his body. His expression was uncertain as he made a final struggle. While the sacred master was thinking, he glanced at Lame Yuan and had a plan. He thought to himself, if I want to leave this place alive, I have to start with Lame Yuan. Only by capturing Lame Yuan can Mo Qingyun not dare to attack me again. At this moment, while the sacred master was thinking, Mo Qingyun chased after him again. Mo Qingyun, it's not that easy for you to kill me. In order to make Mo Qingyun let down his guard, the sacred master shouted angrily and took the initiative to attack Mo Qingyun. Looking at the sacred master's current behavior, if one did not know what he was thinking, one would think that he was angered by Mo Qingyun. Seeing that the sacred master was no longer running away and wanted to fight with him head-on, Mo Qingyun smiled in satisfaction and said, "That's right. If you fight with me head-on, you'll die with dignity." The Sacred Master's expression was serious, and he did not respond to Mo Qingyun's teasing. Bang! After exchanging a few dozen blows with the Sacred Master, Mo Qingyun threw out another punch. This time, it landed on the Sacred Master's body. The Sacred Master was immediately sent flying by Mo Qingyun's punch. He flew towards Lei Muan and the others. And Qin's expression changed when he saw the Sacred Master flying towards them. He became worried and said, "Oh no, the Sacred Master is flying towards the mistress." He purposely let Master send him flying. His goal is to capture the mistress when we're not paying attention. And Qin cried out in surprise. With a flash, he chased after the Sacred Leader. It won't be that easy to capture Muwan. Mo Qingyun guessed the Sacred Master's intentions when he saw the Sacred Master's actions. He also chased after him. The Sacred Master did not care about Mo Qingyun and in Qin's pursuit. He smiled coldly and said, "Mo Qingyun, it's useless even if you catch up to me. If you dare to attack me, these two beauties will be buried with me." As soon as the Sacred Leader finished speaking, he stretched out his palm and grabbed at Lei Muan. At that moment, Yin Luo, who was beside Lei Muan, said coldly, "You're a heaven general, but you're no match for the young palace master, who's a heaven soldier. How dare you try to sneak an attack on us? Let's see how I'll deal with you." As Yin Li's words fell, she raised her hand and a small sword appeared in her hand. "Go!" Yin Luo summoned the sword Great Tao Origin, then raised her hand and tossed it towards the Sacred Lord. The sword Great Path Origin exploded with a terrifying aura and enveloped the Sacred Master. What? What a terrifying aura. What treasure is this? The Sacred Master's face twitched when he sensed the sword Great Path Origin's aura. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He was on the verge of collapse. This harmless-looking girl actually had such a terrifying item. She was clearly bullying the poor. Compared to Mo Qingyun and the others, he was too poor. He did not have any decent treasures. While the Sacred Master was panicking, the sword Great Path Origin arrived in front of him and hit his head. No! The Sacred Master screamed when he was hit by the sword Great Path Origin. His head exploded. The sword Great Path Origin was too powerful. Even with the Sacred Master's strength, his primordial spirit could not escape. As the Sacred Master's primordial spirit exploded, his aura began to dissipate. He died under the sword Great Path Origin. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people were stunned. Chapter 3164. Sacred Leader is dead. He wasn't killed by Mo Qingyun. He was killed by Yin Luo. I didn't expect the scariest person in True Beginning Demon Hall to be Miss Yin Luo. True Beginning Demon Hall hid their strength too well. We were wrong. Lin Qingxuan and the other sighed when they saw Yin Luo kill Sacred Leader. Their emotions were complicated. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have thought that it would end like this. Compared to Lin Qingxuan and the others, Ing Wudi stood rooted to the ground as if he had been petrified. He muttered to himself, "This can't be real. Sacred Leader has already broken through the limits of a great emperor. How could he die in her hands?" If Sacred Leader had been killed by Mo Qingyun, Ing Wudi would be in a better mood. However, he had died in Yin Luo's hands. This was undoubtedly a greater blow to Ing Wudi and the others. This girl is really wasteful. Mo Qingyun shook his head with a bitter smile when he saw Yin Luo use the sword Great Tao Origin to kill Sacred Leader. Even if Yin Luo hadn't attacked, he could have killed Sacred Leader and wouldn't have put Lei Muan in danger. Zhao Sun's and the others' emotions were clearly different from Mo Qingyun's when they saw Yin Luo kill Sacred Leader. At this moment, smiles of pleasant surprise appeared on their faces. They were extremely impressed by Yin Luo. "Miss Yin Luo, you're still the best. You actually killed Sacred Leader." "Yeah, I thought you were joking. I didn't expect you to have such a powerful trump card. We didn't recognize Mount Tai before. We asked you to forgive us." Zhao Sun's and the others were overjoyed as they flattered Yin Luo. Yin Luo looked at Mo Qingyun when she heard what Zhao Sans and the others said. A sly smile appeared on her face. As Zhao Sans and the others were talking, Mo Qingyun and Shen walked over and stood in front of Wudi and the others. Watching Mo Qingyun and the others approach, Lin Qingxuan and the others had complicated expressions on their faces. For a moment, they didn't know what to say. Lin Qingxuan looked at Mo Qingyun and couldn't help but sigh. Mr. Mo, we let you down before. Please do it. I only hope that after you kill us, you won't kill everyone in our sect. Mo Qingyun shook his head when he heard Lin Qingxuan's words. He said, Lin Qingxuan, don't say something like that. Have you thought about sparing the disciples of the true Grand Primordium Devil Hall when you've joined forces to attack them? In order to save your lives, you did not hesitate to beg the Dark Demon race for mercy. This is truly despicable. From the moment you submitted to the Dark Demon race, we became irreconcilable enemies. You wanted to spare your disciples? That's absolutely impossible. If Lin Qingxuan did not open his mouth to beg for mercy, Mo Qingyun would still respect him, but now he despised him. In order to survive, they could abandon all their principles. Why should he follow the rules? Do it. After scolding Lin Qingxuan, Mo Qingyun didn't say anything else. He immediately ordered Chun and the others. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Chun and the others all responded and attacked Lin Qingxuan and the others. Mo Qingyun, you're cruel and tyrannical. There will be retribution in the end. You're the same as the Dark Demon race. You're both demons of the astral realm. I hate you so much. I can't accept this. Seeing Chun and the others attack, Ma Bei and the others were unwilling to accept this. They spoke one sentence after another. Hearing Ma Bei and the others' words, Mo Qingyun sneered. He despised them to the extreme. In the past, he really didn't realize that Ma Bei and the others were so thick-skinned. Very soon, Chun arrived beside Mo Qingyun and said, Master, it's all dealt with. Should we send people to clean up the remnants of these sects? Hearing Chen's question, Mo Qingyun glanced at Zhou Jing and the others. He said, Don't do anything for now. Wait for Senior Zhou and the others to recover before going to clean up the various sections. After saying that to Chun, Mo Qingyun did not stay any longer. He quickly walked into the True Demon Hall. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Lei Muan and the others hurriedly followed. They returned to the True Demon Hall together. When Mo Qingyun returned to the True Demon Hall, he looked around and pondered. He said, The sect-protecting formation has been destroyed. We need to set up a new one. However, the previous one is still a little weak. We need to set up an even stronger one this time. Can we do what Zhang Yi said and merge the power of laws into the formation? As soon as this idea appeared in his mind, Mo Qingyun decided to give it a try. He wanted to use this method to set up a formation. With that thought, Mo Qingyun went to find Jiang Feng and the others to discuss the matter of setting up the new formation. As for Zhao Sans and the others, they all returned to their residences and made use of the time to recover. They were very heavily injured this time. They could not afford any delays. Not only that, but once they recovered, they still needed to clean up the remnants of the various sections. In the residences of Jiang Feng and the others. Greetings, Mr. Mo. Jiang Feng and the others hurriedly went up to greet Mo Qingyun when they saw him. They bowed respectfully. The three of them were not strong enough to participate in the battle. However, after the sect-protecting formation had been destroyed, they had seen the battle between Mo Qingyun and the sacred leader clearly. They did not expect the young man in front of them to be able to overpower an expert who had surpassed the great emperor realm. No need to be so polite. Mo Qingyun waved his hand indifferently in response to their greetings. He said, I'm here to discuss the matter of setting up the sect-protecting formation. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jiang Feng said respectfully, Mr. Mo, please tell us what you need. The three of us will do our best to complete it. Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction when he saw their attitudes. He said, I have some new ideas for setting up the sect-protecting formation this time. I'm going to change it. Jiang Feng and the others' expressions changed slightly. They looked at Mo Qingyun curiously, wanting to know how to change it. Mo Qingyun did not stop talking. He continued, "When I went to the heaven realm, I received guidance from a king-level divine array master. He pointed out the difference between a saint array and a divine array. I'm thinking about how to integrate the Great Path laws into the saint array. Could it evolve into a divine array?" Listening to Mo Qingyun's narration, Jiang Feng and the other two's faces were filled with shock. Even though Mo Qingyun's words were making the three of them dizzy, they didn't know what to say. But Mo Qingyun's idea made the three of them very tempted. If they succeeded, their attainments and formations might change qualitatively. This was a great opportunity for them. Whether they could become divine array masters or not might depend on this. Jiang Feng and the others became even more excited when they thought of this. Seeing that Lei Muan was giving instructions, Mo Qingyun did not interrupt and sat down quietly. Seeing that Mo Qingyun didn't say anything, Lei Muan didn't ask any further and continued to instruct everyone. About 15 minutes later, after Lei Muan finished explaining everything, she looked at Mo Qingyun and asked, "Qingyun, why are you looking for me?" "Yes." Mo Qingyun nodded and said, "Under the Sacred Lord attack, the sect's protective array was destroyed. We need to set up another one. I just found Jiang Feng and the other two to discuss the sect's protective array. I need some materials to set it up. I came to find you to enter the sect's treasury and take out some materials to set up the array." Hearing the purpose of Mo Qingyun's visit, Lei Muan nodded and said, "I'll take you there now." After Lei Muan finished speaking, she got up and walked out of the hall. Mo Qingyun followed closely behind and left the meeting hall together. Before long, Mo Qingyun and Lei Muan arrived at the treasury of the True Absolute Beginning Devil Palace. The treasury of the True Absolute Beginning Devil Palace was huge. After Mo Qingyun's search, it was filled with all kinds of cultivation resources. Take these pill refining materials. After entering the treasury of the True Absolute Beginning Devil Palace, Missouri Qingyun saw some pill refining materials and put them away without hesitation. He had promised Ma Wensheng before that when he returned to the Starfield realm this time, he would help him gather pill refining materials. Now that he saw them in the treasury, he naturally had to put them away and bring them back to the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace to hand to Ma Wensheng. After putting away some pill refining materials, Mo Qingyun picked out the formation materials and put them into his storage ring one by one. About 2 hours later, after some selection by Mo Qingyun, he had prepared all the materials needed for the two formations. In order to prevent any mishaps from occurring while setting up the formation, Mo Qingyun had prepared more in case of emergencies. After picking out the formation materials, Mo Qingyun did not leave immediately. Instead, he took out some cultivation resources and put them in the treasury of the True Absolute Beginning Devil Palace. These cultivation resources were all obtained in the ancient demon cave and were of no use to him. Leaving them in the True Absolute Beginning Devil Palace might be of some use. "Let's go." After settling everything, Mo Qingyun was unwilling to stay any longer. He walked out of the treasury. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Lei Muan nodded and followed him out of the treasury. "I still have to discuss with Father, so I won't accompany you to prepare the formation." Coming out from the treasury, Lei Muan did not go with Mo Qingyun. Instead, she went to look for Lei Haoshuan to settle some matters. Chapter 3166. Time passed quickly, and a day passed in the blink of an eye. After a day of constant deliberation, Mo Qingyun finally grasped the gist of it and successfully laid out a holy array that contained Grand Tao laws. Although I haven't fully grasped it, I should be able to lay out a grade 9 holy array if I carefully lay it out. Looking at the completed holy array in front of him, Mo Qingyun's lips curved into a faint smile. In a flicker, he left the Fortune mainland. Leaving the Fortune mainland, Mo Qingyun's footsteps did not stop, directly heading to Jiang Feng and the other two's residence. When Jiang Feng and the other two arrived, they were already waiting for Mo Qingyun's arrival. "Mr. Mo, you're here. Shall we start now?" Watching Mo Qingyun walk up to them, Jiang Feng respectfully saluted and inquired about Mo Qingyun's instructions. Hearing Jiang Feng's question, Mo Qingyun nodded and said, "And let's start now. Let's go." Mo Qingyun nodded and flew out from the three's residence, arriving in the air above the true absolute beginning Devil Hall. Standing in the air above the true absolute beginning Devil Hall, the three of them pointed at the true absolute beginning Devil Hall and said, "Mr. Mo, yesterday the three of us checked the sex terrain and have already chosen the core and base of the array. They're the Blue Frost Pond, the Ninth Hall, and the Four Mountain Peaks." Listening to the three's report, Mo Qingyun nodded indifferently and said, "You don't need to tell me the details of laying out the array. We'll divide the work. You three will lay out the array, and I'll integrate Grand Tao laws into the array. Don't waste time. Let's start laying out the array. Where should we start? These are the materials for laying out the array. Keep them well." As Mo Qingyun spoke, he passed the two array formation materials to Jiang Feng and the other two. After receiving the array formation materials from Mo Qingyun, the three of them no longer hesitated and flew towards the Blue Frost Pond. Seeing the actions of the three people, Mo Qingyun also did not ask much and followed them to the Jade Fall Frost Pool. Arriving above the Jade Fall Wintry Lake, Jiang Feng said with a serious expression, "Young Master Mo, you said that the Ice-Rending Lightning Lake Saint Formation is controlled by the Ice-Rending Lightning Lake Saint Formation, and the formation I should be here. If there is any movement in the formation, the Ice-Rending Lightning Lake Saint Formation can sense it in time." Mo Qingyun nodded in agreement when he heard Jiang Feng's words. He said, "Do as you thought. Begin setting up the formation." Jiang Feng and the other two nodded and didn't say anything else. They immediately set up the formation. It had been some time since the three of them had become level 9 Sacred Array Masters, so they were clearly more familiar with setting up arrays. Soon, the three of them began to imprint the materials on the formations in an orderly manner. As the formation materials were engraved with formation runes, they were inserted into every corner, emitting a shocking wave of formation energy. This formation is indeed very powerful. Just the initial stages of the formation are already emitting a shocking amount of cold power. Sensing the waves of formation energy, Mo Qingyun's expression was slightly surprised, but a satisfied smile appeared on his face. To him, the stronger the Glacial Thunder Lake Holy Formation was, the better. The stronger the defensive power of the Glacial Thunder Lake Holy Formation was, the more he would be assured of the safety of the true Demon Palace when he went to the Heaven Realm. Under Mo Qingyun's observation, Jiang Feng quickly set up the formation. He turned to look at Mo Qingyun and asked, "Mr. Mo, the formation is set up. Do you want to integrate the Great Path Laws now or later? Or wait until the entire formation is set up before you integrate the Great Path Laws?" Hearing Jiang Feng's question, Mo Qingyun thought for a moment and said, "Let's start integrating now. Even if there are any changes, we can correct them in time. Just in case something goes wrong with the entire formation and it takes too much time to set it up again." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he moved in front of Jiang Feng and the other two and began to integrate the powerful formation with the Great Path Laws. The Glacial Thunder Lake Holy Formation was a level 9 holy formation. It was different from the formations that Mo Qingyun had set up before. The process of setting it up was very complicated and troublesome. It would take a lot of time to set it up again. More importantly, the materials used to set up the Glacial Thunder Lake Holy Formation were also very rare. Currently, the materials used to set up the Glacial Thunder Lake Holy Formation in the True Demon Palace could only set up 3 layers. 3 chances. I hope there won't be any problems. Mo Qingyun took a deep breath. He didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. He was especially careful as he integrated the Great Path laws. Soon, a light pillar with a mysterious aura appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. Summoning the Great Path laws, Mo Qingyun controlled it and integrated it into the formation bit by bit. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Jiang Feng and the other two's expressions all tensed up. At that moment, the three of them were completely focused as they watched Mo Qingyun integrate the Great Path laws. Sensing their expressions, Mo Qingyun said sternly, "The most crucial part of becoming a divine array master is to comprehend the Great Path laws and integrate them into the formation. The three of you have a rather solid foundation in formations right now. What you lack is comprehending the Great Path laws. The level of the Great Path laws in the astral boundary realm is lower." Chapter 3168. After leaving in Chen's place, Mo Qingyun went straight back to his residence and immersed himself in cultivation and recovery. The Scorching Sun 9 Flames formation was also a level 9 Saint Array. The difficulty of setting it up was not any lower than the Ice-Breaking Thunder Lake Saint Array. Mo Qingyun did not dare to be careless. Therefore, he had to make the best use of his time to cultivate and recover to his best condition. While Mo Qingyun was cultivating and recovering, and Shun and the others set off to eliminate the remnants of the various sections, a day passed quickly. When the agreed time came, Jiang Feng and the other two arrived and waited for Mo Qingyun outside the courtyard. Because of their previous gains, they were a little impatient to set up the Scorching Sun 9 Flames formation. Mo Qingyun did not care about the thoughts of Jiang Feng and the other two. Instead, he was very satisfied with their positive attitude. Where is the array core of the Scorching Sun 9 Flames formation? Walking up to Jiang Feng and the other two, Mo Qingyun didn't waste any words and directly asked them. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Jiang Feng walked forward and said, "The three of us went back the day before yesterday and had a good discussion. We decided to use the fiery flame valley of the fire hall as the array core. Senior Xian Yang happens to live there and can better observe the array." Jiang Feng spoke his thoughts. Mo Qingyun thought for a moment, then nodded and said, "That's a good idea. We'll do as you say." Mo Qingyun and the others discussed and reached an agreement. They flew towards the fiery flame valley. Xianyang was not in the valley. He had left with Enchun to eliminate the remnants of the other sections. "Let's do it." Standing in the air above the fiery flame valley, Mo Qingyun glanced at the valley and ordered Jiang Feng and the others. Jiang Feng and the others nodded and immediately set up the array. Everything was done with ease. Looking at Jiang Feng and the other two setting up the array, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly and thought, the way the Scorching Sun 9 Flames formation is set up is completely opposite to the Ice-Breaking Thunder Lake Saint Array. Should I also change the method when I integrate the Great Tao? At this moment, Mo Qingyun had a bold idea. If he changed his method of integration, he would undoubtedly overturn all the previous conclusions and start all over again. Mo Qingyun thought for a moment and made a decision. He thought to himself, "Let's set up a low-level holy array first to verify my speculation. Even if it's wrong, there won't be too much loss." With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun did not want to waste any more time and immediately set up the array formation. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Jiang Feng and the other two looked over curiously. However, after a few glances, they retracted their attention. In addition, in the process of constant fighting, many outstanding junior leaders will appear, just like the cultivation of Gu. These people will be the future hope of their respective sects, and they will be the cornerstone of their future battles against the blood fusion branch. Hearing Zhao Sun's words, Enchun nodded and said, Zhao Sun is right. Although it will increase the number of fights, there are also great benefits. Not only will it reduce the growth of the blood fusion branch's population, but it will also allow the juniors to temper themselves and increase the cohesion of the sections. As for the juniors who died, there is no need to care too much about them. Cultivation is a path that defies the heavens. The strong will survive, and the weak will be eliminated. This is the inevitable result. Even if they don't fight against the blood fusion branch today, in the future, when the blood fusion branch grows stronger, they will still come to kill them. It's just a matter of time. Hearing in Chen's words, no one had any objections and agreed with Zhao Sun's suggestion. Since it's like this, it's decided. Although Mo Qingyun didn't want to cause a huge massacre, he agreed with Zhao Sun's suggestion. Zhao Sun's method seemed cold, but it was also a good method. It was just that the future slaughter would be shifted to the present. After deciding on how to deal with the second generation of the blood fusion branch, Mo Qingyun looked at Enchun and Zhao Sun and said, Enchun, Zhao Sun, you will discuss with Senior Zhua and Senior Zhou. Choose a region in the astral region and expel the forces with the blood fusion branch's descendants. If anyone disobeys, kill them all directly. Don't make any concessions. In Mo Qingyun's opinion, he had already made a big concession by not killing them directly. If they still didn't know what was good for them, then they couldn't blame him for being ruthless. Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Enchun and the others responded. Then, Enchun and the others left to deal with the blood fusion branch's descendants. After dealing with the blood fusion branch's descendants, Mo Qingyun talked about some other things before returning to his residence. After returning to his residence, Mo Qingyun's heart skipped a beat. Recently, I've been delayed by various things and forgot about the fate reversing Samsara heaven seizing pills. I should give them to Wuyo and the others. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun entered the Fortune mainland to look for Yi Wuyo and the others. When Mo Qingyun arrived, the women all welcomed him with joyful expressions. They surrounded him and asked about him with concern. During the conversation with the girls, Mo Qingyun sensed that their cultivation bases had improved significantly. Wang Zishu, who had the highest cultivation base, had already broken through to the World Lord realm and was steadily advancing towards the Emperor realm.